Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello? There we go. Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, I was noticing our levels weren't right. Tim, it happens. That's part of being on a live show. So finally we got it, guys. So welcome to episode 29 of the Arcade Repair Tips live show for July 2019. Now, Tim, obviously we usually do this on the first Thursday night of the month, but tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day here in the United States. So we will not be doing it. Instead, we moved it up to today. So this is a Wednesday episode of our normal Thursday show. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. And of course, my name is Jonathan. I'm the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. So how are things going at Mr. Gaddy's?
It's going good. We definitely are in a full summer swing, kind of got our rhythm going, and we're just waiting on the heat. You know, everybody right now is still at the lake and hanging out, but it'll hit 100 pretty soon, and they'll all start coming inside and getting air conditioned.
That's right, and playing your games, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, any major issues that have happened?
No, not. We've had our game room has held up pretty steadily, so we've been pretty pleased. But my boss did announce that maybe the next auction, not the one in July, maybe we could go to it and start looking for maybe something new for next year. So or a different game. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, and you see, guys, part of being an operator is making sure that you swap out your games periodically, because your regular customers will get tired of your selection after a while, right?
Eventually, yeah.
Exactly. So even if you have the latest and greatest, they're always looking for something new, something different. Even if it's a couple years old, Tim, as long as it's something different, it gives your customers, your clientele, something else to come in and try, right?
Right.
So, that sounds exciting. Hopefully, we'll find out more about that when it gets a little bit closer. But you also have a big announcement about a food truck, right?
Yes, we did. We'll talk about it later in the show, but we did purchase a food truck, and we're in the process of getting it ready, inspected and everything ready to use soon.
Sounds good. Well, we want to hear all about that, but that will be in the after show, so make sure you stay tuned until after the main show if you want to hear more about the food truck. But guys, we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. We know it's a holiday weekend, Tim. We may not have the normal attendance that we have here for the live show, but we want to thank everybody who is in the live chat with us tonight for being here and watching the show with us. Tim, we've got Scott. And he says, just like the old days, rushing home to watch my favorite TV show. Makes me feel special right there. I would say same bad time, same bad channel, but it doesn't really apply because we're a day early. So anyway, but most of the time, first Thursday night of the month. Tonight, first Wednesday night of the month. So let's see. We've got Matthew here. He says, greetings from New Hampshire.
Oh,
so
hello, Matthew.
We got somebody from there. Let's see. Oh, Michael says hello.
Hello, Michael.
And I know we had some audio issues, guys. So hopefully we got all that taken care of. Hopefully you guys can hear us now. I think you can. I'm looking at the audio levels and everything looks good. So hopefully you can hear us. Michael's here. He says, love this show. So we got a lot of you guys here. So remember that you can interact with us during the show in the live chat. Leave your comments, your questions, whatever you have for me, and Tim will be happy to address those as the show progresses. Let's see. Mr. Dwayne is here, Tim. He says, I'm here live this week.
Oh,
so there we go. Always good to have you here as well, Mr. Dwayne. So, Tim, we got a lively live chat, it sounds like. And, of course, our moderator, Louie, is here as well. Also one of our Facebook contributors. So we want to thank Louie for being here and moderating your comments. So if you guys get a little out of hand, Louie has the band hammer. And he can do some other things in order to keep you guys in line. So thanks for being here as well, Louie. So, okay, Tim. Oh, it looks like we have a question here in the live chat before we start with our normal questions.
Okay.
So, Michael Bloom says, I played an Afterburner Climax a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic update to an absolute classic. Even moves like the Afterburner Deluxe 2. May want to look at that one. Now, Tim, you used to have an Afterburner Climax at your Chuck E. Cheese location when you were with them, correct?
Yes, and I'm not sure which version you're talking about. The one we had was huge.
Right.
And the only problem that I had with it was the actuators that made it move tended to go out pretty frequently. And they were very expensive.
So was it hydraulic or was it robotic arm?
It has two hydraulics like in the back that are controlled by a motor, or what they call a servo motor. And so it kind of moves like this and up and down and gives you that like you're flying feeling. The only problem I have with anything is that it's got that 4-letter word that costs a lot of money every time you needed a part for it.
Sure.
That would be one thing that would shy me away from it, just because the replacement parts are ridiculous.
Really? So give us an example of what it costs.
Like that servo motor that went out every year.
Now, this is just a normal servo motor, right?
Yeah.
Like, nothing special.
Nothing special about it, but from them, it was probably $1,300.
Whoa! Goodness.
So,
that's Sega, right?
Like a car engine or a servo motor.
You could actually soup up your Afterburner Climax with a car engine for cheaper almost. So.
That's one thing about a Sega game that we've talked about in the past, that as an operator, they do get quite expensive with their parts, and they need to do something about that to really encourage me to want to buy more.
How many Sega games do you have right now? I know you've got at least one that I can think of.
Which game is that?
Oh, maybe you don't. Because you have what's the zombie one that you guys have?
Oh, Walking Dead.
But that's not a Sega, is it?
They're Raw Thrills.
Yeah, Raw Thrills. But it always reminds me of like a House of the Dead, I guess.
Yeah.
Close. So maybe you don't have a Sega game.
I can't think of one offhand. That doesn't mean we don't have one.
Gotcha. So
don't think so.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Danny says, good to see you guys. Happy July 4th.
Hey, Danny.
So we got that. Tony says, hey. That's always good. Let's see. TXJYT says, the problem I have seen with the auctions lately is that the prices have been going up so much because of all the barcades buying stock. They generally have more money to spend on these games than the private collector. What are your thoughts? And I think that has a lot to do with it, Tim. We've talked about that in previous live show episodes. That more barcades opening is good in one way, but it does drive the prices of the games up as well.
Right, for the average home collector. But one thing, Jonathan, we always like to do, we like to go to a game auction and find some that weren't working. Because we knew they would go cheaper, and as long as they were complete, we always enjoyed fixing them. So that's something that we have the website for in this channel, so that you can have a little bit of ability, and that will save you some money by buying them not working and then fixing them yourself.
Yeah, and I think with the barcades, Tim, a lot of times they're buying games that they want to be able to just put right in because they want to start earning money off of them. That may not be true of all barcade owners, but I would think the vast majority of barcade owners are probably looking for something that's drop-in ready that can start basically being played at their location immediately.
But at the same time, you got to look at it this way. We could end up taking a game and selling it to offset our costs. Same way with you. If you've got a game that you've restored or it looks good, it's probably going to bring a pretty good price. So it kind of balances out. If you're taking a game to sell and you can sell it for a good price, then you might pay more for something else. For instance, if you had a Donkey Kong, but you went home with a Joust, maybe you would even break even or be really close. So that might be something you might be interested in or might consider.
Sure. Michael, I guess the Michael that visited you at Mr. Gaddy's, right?
Yeah,
he says you have
so.
no Sega games.
No Sega games.
So there you go.
Probably not.
And I was about to say, it's probably a good thing, huh?
Right.
At this point. Now, there's a lot of great Sega games.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They are.
Let's Go Jungle's really fun. I mean, Afterburner Climax I like to play. The Wave Runner style games are still really fun, Tim. I was trying to think of what else Sega makes recently that I can think of besides those. Is there anything else? Am I missing something?
Was about Luigi's Mansion.
Is that a Sega or is that a Raw Thrills?
I think that's a Sega game. It is because they got the parts from overseas.
Gotcha.
So maybe.
Okay.
I'd have to remember. I'd have to test my brain power too early in the show.
Sorry.
Gotta ask me later
there
in
you
the
go.
middle or something.
But Sega does put out a lot of quality games. It's just that, like you said, parts are kind of expensive, and sometimes, Tim, they can be a bear as far as repair because they do things a little bit different than other manufacturers. Sometimes they don't always adhere to standards that other manufacturers adhere to.
Right, and it's just a personal preference. I'm just saying, from my experience, like the seat on a Wave Runner was $800.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I took mine and got it reupholstered for $35. But at the same time, if you want those OEM parts, they really are a little on the extra expensive side. Just the same way when you go to buy a car, somebody would tell you, oh, well, I bought that car, don't buy it, because every time I needed a part for it, it was extremely expensive. Maybe you bought a Jaguar or
Yeah, I was about to
something
say
because
Jaguar.
it looked really cool, but every part you needed for it was really expensive as compared to a Chevy or Ford or something. So, or even a Honda or something. So that's just my personal opinion on Sega games. I just think their parts are outrageous.
There you go. So, Tim, it sounds like we're caught up on the live chat. Now, remember,
Okay.
you guys can continue to interact with the show by leaving your comments and questions right there, and we'll continue to get to them as we go through. But, Tim, we do have several questions we have already received and that we're going to answer tonight. So let's go over some of the ones we've gotten. And this first one here, Tim, is from Minda. And Minda says, "Hi, we have a Roadburners arcade that has the Acer flat screen monitor in it and a converter board already. We just bought it this way. Here's the problem. The screen comes on and says Acer, then flashes no signal. The converter board doesn't light up and the rest of the boards don't either except when turning off. The fan in the power supply box does not turn on either. So I guess my question is, could it be a bad power supply causing this? If not, what would y'all suggest? Thank you a bunch." Now, Tim, I'm assuming that Minda's from the South because she threw a y'all in there.
Yeah.
Maybe
okay.
not. Is that maybe that has progressed to Northern vernacular? I don't know. But y'all
Not
is
much.
obviously something we like to say
She didn't
here.
say you guys.
She did not say you guys. That is
Okay.
correct. So Minda has a Roadburners, Tim, which is a fairly newer style
Right.
driving game if you're familiar with it.
I've
And it
not
sounds
seen
like
it.
somebody has taken the traditional CRT that's in it, replaced it with an Acer, just maybe off-the-shelf monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing she gets on it basically is no signal. Now, she checked her power supply, and the fan is not running in the power supply.
Right.
So with all of that information, what do you think's going on here with Minda's Roadburners?
Well, just from what she said, she asked the question, could a bad power supply cause this? And the answer, of course, is yes.
Right.
It definitely could. In fact, if you're not getting a signal to the monitor, it will shut down after a minute. And so what produces signal? Well,
Right.
it comes through your board. And if your board's not getting power, then it's not going to work. So I would definitely start with the switching power supply and seeing what's going on with that.
And if you have an ATX style power supply, which are typically the ones with the fans installed, if your fan's not working, usually that's a good indication that the power supply is close to going out.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone I've seen where the fan would stop working, you start having issues with it shortly after. And I say shortly, it could be a year or two, but once that fan goes out, it seems like the heat just tends to build up in those power supplies and really cause havoc on those
And this will
parts.
probably be a good time for a tech tip. Every month when we clean our power supplies every month.
Yes.
And every game. And what we do is we usually put something in there and stop the fan with the game off from spinning, and we blow it out real good. And I'll see a lot of them have a lot of dust and stuff on them. Think about dust and the weight of the dust as it goes around. There's bearings and stuff in there. Once that fan goes out, we can start. If the fan is out, most of the time we just replace the fan. But
Sure.
if we don't have a fan, it's a good time to go ahead and start thinking about another power supply, because games are so hot anyway, and inside of there, it's just really going to do a lot of damage to those electronics in a very short amount of time. And I see a lot of classic games where the fan has not worked in a long time. You're kind of just a time bomb waiting to happen. It will happen soon. So that's a great thing to do when you open up your game and you're working on it. We don't talk a lot. Maybe we'll do a tech tip sometime on just preventive maintenance, because that's very important, even though you don't need, maybe not necessarily do it once a month because your game's not getting the play, or maybe you do play it a lot. Maybe you should do it once a month, or it's just not in the environment. But every 6 months or so, you should be cleaning those and blowing out those power supplies and stuff, and that's going to help your equipment last and run a lot longer.
Sounds good, Tim. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw up the slide here we have for Minda. And kind of like what you said, Tim, yes, it definitely sounds like you are having a power supply issue. From your description, it would seem that you're not getting DC voltage from your switching power supply to both the main game board and possibly the converter board that's required to run properly. Try turning your game on and checking the switching power supply with a multimeter. See our post on checking or replacing a power supply for more information. Now, if you have an ATX style power supply, you'll need to check your voltage at the output connector. Tim, we've talked about this before. There's usually an output Molex connector that
Right.
comes from the power supply. The red is usually the 5 volts, and then the yellow is the 12 volts, and then the blacks are your grounds. I mean, this is pretty common. And so you will need to check it that way by inserting the probes of your multimeter into the correct connectors in order to check your power supply. But, those are pretty much, if you do that and it's not getting any voltage, then you probably just need to replace your power supply, right, Tim?
Probably so.
So it sounds good. So, Minda, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck getting your road burners back up and running. Okay, Tim, we have a couple of questions here in the live chat. Matthew says, hey guys, what is your experience or thoughts on the universal monitor chassis?
Well, we personally, as collectors, haven't bought many, but I do know as an operator, we've had to purchase some before because we couldn't find anything that would fit. And the experience has been pretty positive so far. With a few little hitches, or seems like one monitor we never could quite get, had a little curl on it or something, but it was kind of like, oh, okay, it works. We left it alone. So overall, pretty positive, but we knew how to read the impedance and stuff like that to give them all the information that they needed to build it correctly for what you pay for. Now, having said that, there has been a couple times that we've taken them out of games and just went in and replaced the whole monitor. So it worked for a time and to get the game up and going pretty quickly and stuff. I would kind of keep a couple on my shelf to have. Like, it'd be nice to have one if you're having a party or something. The monitor's always going to go out the night before your Halloween party or whatever.
Right.
So you could easily get something fixed or going. But as a long-term fix, in my opinion, I would go back to an original monitor or getting it repaired or rebuilt. I think it's okay in the temporary kind of run. I don't know how well they're going to hold up.
He says he has a D9200, but he doesn't have the chassis for it. So that's what he wants to use. That's the tube he wants to use.
Right. He has a tube with no chassis. Well, then you don't really have a lot of choices either unless you find
a D92. Now, here's the deal about D92s, though. There's probably a lot of people who have broken ones lying around.
Right.
It seems like, because D92, it seems like that's one of those chassis that people have sitting around. It's a very popular model of Wells Gardner monitor. So you may check in some of the arcade forums to see if you can find somebody who has a replacement D9200 chassis. Because like I said, it was a very popular model. So there's probably tons of them out there if you ask around.
Right.
We may even have one somewhere if I looked around.
Back in
probably storage. But if you want to check in some of the arcade forums that we have on our website, then you could do that. If not, the universal chassis is a good way to go, like Tim mentioned. It's kind of a temporary fix in a way, but it will at least get you a little bit extra life out of that. He says the tube looks really great, so if your tube looks great, it's definitely worth a shot to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's see what else we have. JR's Vintage Toys and More. Great show, guys. I have a question. How much does it affect the price of a restored game if it's been restored in the wrong cabinet, in your opinion? So if it's been restored in the wrong cabinet. So if you had a Galaga, but it wasn't in a Galaga cabinet, but it was fully restored.
I think to a true collector, it should greatly affect the price.
Right. But to a normal home guy, man cave guy who just wants to get one game or two games.
Yeah, or they don't even remember the name of that game.
Right.
Kind of guy.
It started with a G.
Yeah, it started with a G.
Had
shot
some
things.
Ships. Yeah, it had some ships.
I think you have plenty of those people around, so I think... But to even the average collector, I would think it would greatly affect the price. I mean, if we, what we like to do is we used to when we'd find a Galaga, for instance, seems like we could find those in a different cabinet sometimes.
Sure.
Kind of like in a Dynamo cabinet or something. We would always still be excited because it was Galaga, because then we would put it in a game like this and get this one running, but we always kind of took it out. Because to us, the artwork didn't fit, just not the same. And I think any classic car or whatever, if you're running, you're putting a Dodge engine inside a Chevy, I think it's definitely going to affect the price if it's not original.
Sure, exactly. And I'm with you, Tim. To a collector, it definitely makes a difference. Now, to your average home buyer, it may not make much of a difference. That guy who wants Galaga, he doesn't necessarily care what cabinet it's in.
Yeah,
but
maybe not even a barcade or something where the people just want to play it.
Exactly, but in a collector market, Tim, it will definitely affect the pricing because collectors are looking for things that are what they remember.
I think about those auction days where you'd see 4, 5, 6, 7 of them in a row, and then in the middle there'd be that one that was kind of off. It would always bring half the price or less.
That's right. So, any sales? JR is also saying, any sales coming up on the DVD collection? So, probably not, but I will say that we did get some more Volume 4s in. So if you want to purchase a Volume 4 DVD, we actually have them in stock again. So you can buy them on the website. Little plug. We may have a sale. I don't know. We may randomly do it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So
There's no 4th of July sale,
no
obviously.
4th of July sale. So there you go. I'm sorry about that. Let's see what else we have. Oh, Louis chimed in with Universal Chassis. He said he used them. They work well most of the time. Sometimes they flake out. Just make sure that you test the ohms of your current monitor. And that's, I mean, we couldn't have said any better than that, right?
Right.
So that's basically what it comes down to. Yeah, and you see, Michael, make sure to have the yoke resistances are compatible. That's very important. So now here's the deal. The Universal Chassis is made to work with a variety of yokes so in monitor tubes. So it works with the vast majority, but you do need to test to make sure that yours is in range. That is important. So Tex JYT just gave us some money.
Hey,
thank you. Another great show. That's what I'm talking about. We're only like, what? How long are we? 20 minutes into this one?
Okay.
Only 20 minutes in. He's already paid us.
Wow.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Tex JYT. We appreciate it. And guys, if you guys feel so compelled, there's a little dollar icon on your live chat that you guys can click and donate money to our show. We appreciate all of the money donations. We thank you guys so much for that. All the money goes to paying for web hosting and Tim shirts and all sorts of other things. So equipment
may go into our stock losses
That's right.
that help make us feel better. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we lost some money in the stock market. We'll talk about that in the after show. But anyway, let us continue on. Paul Duray is here. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Glad to have you here tonight. Let's see. Mr. Dwayne. Hey, for Father's Day, my wife and kids got me an Arcade 1-Up Centipede. Some of the Walmarts here in Ohio have them for $75. That is correct. So a lot of stores are clearancing out the Centipede and the Asteroids models. We talked about this, Tim, last time because I picked up an Asteroids for $75. Wow. And Tim, I sent you a picture, and maybe I can post it here in a little bit, of the same one other Walmart had a just stack of them for $150. They had the Street Fighter, they had the Asteroids, and I think those were the only ones they had for $150.
Right.
So,
Which is not bad.
No, so I mean, there are clearances going on, guys. If you're interested in getting an Arcade 1-Up, then now is a good time to do it. Check your local store. Tim, brickseek.com is a great resource for checking stock at your local stores. brickseek.com. And it was initially made to find Lego sets because Lego sets are hard to find. That's why it's Brickseek.
Gotcha.
But it will help you with that. But if you're looking for some, check that out. So let's see what else we got here. Matthew says, awesome info. So that's when we answered his question. He says, awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys, for that. Danny says, I was wondering if you guys thought buying arcade that's not an original and turning it back to original. I know some are expensive to do that. Yeah, so here's the thing. We always encourage people to take it back to original if possible.
Right.
But you are going to incur quite a bit of cost to do that.
Right. Don't expect to get filthy rich off of it.
Exactly. So sometimes, in fact, it may cost you more to do that than just to sell it as is.
Right.
Because of the restoration cost. If you need artwork, if you need, maybe it has a bootleg board set, maybe you need an original board set, so those things can start getting really pricey really quickly if you're not careful. And so we'd recommend doing that if it's something that you love and something you want to keep. So if it's a game that you're like, I'm never going to get rid of this game, I want to keep it in my collection forever, and it's, I have this Galaga that was turned into a Raiden 2, and I want to turn it back into a Galaga, and you want to keep it forever, I would definitely say go ahead and do that. For some games, though, depending on what the resale value is of the game, it may not be worth the restoration cost, except in sentimental value.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind.
By all means, we would prefer that it happen.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, if you just want to, put a game in something, there's a lot of generic cabinets that you can put a game in. We'd always like to see games go back to what they originally were, and I know a lot of operators were guilty of painting over the side art, putting new boards in games and stuff like that. But we found with products like Citrus Strip that you can take it back to the original artwork. You can really do a lot of things to restore those cabinets back to original condition. It's really, really great stuff. So yes, but it will take time and it will take money. So yeah, what's that? There's a song about that. Anyway, we'll continue on. Let us go here. Paul said, I had a chassis come in this week, all blackened and burnt. Turned out to be mouse poop and pee all over the board.
Yeah. Seen that plenty
Nasty.
of times.
Yes, we have. Oh. So, obviously, guys, sometimes these things sit in barns for a while.
Right.
And sometimes they don't end up in the best of shape.
Yeah, they like to collect. They attract, I think, those type of rodents and stuff.
Yeah, so always be careful. And that goes back to what we were talking about last. If you watched the after show of the last episode, we talked about the guy who accidentally touched the LSD on the mixing board. Use gloves whenever you're working with old arcade cabinets and boards and stuff. It's just a good idea. Let's see what else. Okay, I think we're caught up, Tim, with the live chat.
All right.
So we will move on. Yes, and back to the questions. The next one we have is from Tony. And Tony says, good afternoon. I just bought a Gauntlet Dark Legacy and it didn't have the monitor or chassis. What can I do to bring this arcade back to life? Thank you, Tony. Now, Tim, this is a little bit different than what we had earlier with Matthew. He wanted to do the universal chassis, right? Well, Tony doesn't have a two-board chassis.
Okay.
He's missing, like, the complete monitor package, okay?
Right.
So he has no monitor whatsoever. Right. So what are some options here for Tony that he can do in order to get his Gauntlet Dark Legacy back
well,
up?
If he's got a couple kids and they're good with puppets,
they
can kind of come up from the bottom and have a Gauntlet War.
There you go.
But for the most part, you're going to need to buy or purchase a monitor. And you can purchase them on like eBay and stuff still. But Hap, Betson, and places like that sell a brand new 27-inch CRT if you can find it. If not, you can go with the LCD. Usually it's a 26-inch. You're going to need to kind of make some kind of bezel or have a bezel made.
So there are bezels made for some cabinets.
Right.
We should say that. And you may be able to purchase. So they have some that are like oversized that you can cut down. And so you may have to get something like that when you order your LCD monitor in order to get it.
So finding a monitor is not impossible. Then you're going to have to hook it up. But the bezel part to me is always a little tricky.
Agreed.
And so that's one thing that we would throw out there, that you're going to have to get a bezel, cut it down, or find one that fits that monitor. And then it's just a matter of hooking it up. And we have some videos on that. So hopefully that would help you. And we also have one on installing a monitor, though you can see kind of how we did it. A lot of times, well, many times, hopefully the brackets are still in there, though.
Yes.
Because that really helps having brackets.
Because otherwise you're going to have to build you're going to have to install brackets or build a shelf, or you're going to have to do something.
And we've had to do that plenty of times ourselves. So one of the questions I would ask you is, does it have the brackets that are there? Because that definitely helps you. But a lot of the newer LCDs all come with brackets and stuff like that. So that might be a route that you would choose. But you're going to need to put another monitor in there. Now, don't just think any TV or something like that is going to work. You need to buy an original arcade one made for arcade games.
Yeah, and that's, Tim, I think that's the biggest thing here. I mean, look, I know a lot of you guys put TV screens in them with converter boards, kind of like our first question, Tim, from Minda. That's okay, it works. It's great for home use, but I mean, if you're using it in a commercial environment, you really need a commercial grade, arcade quality LCD, because, you know, it just makes life so much simpler as far as mounting, as far as wiring up, as far as everything, basically. You don't have to rig it to come on with the game, any of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of benefits to buying an arcade grade commercial quality LCD, for sure.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, like you said, Tim, let's go ahead and show the slide here. Sounds like he needs to install a monitor in his cabinet. Okay, so you have some options for that. Now, Suzo, Hap, Betson, and some of our other arcade parts suppliers still sell the 27-inch CRTs, Tim.
Right.
The most popular one is the MacVision, which I know Tim is very familiar with. And Tim, this, if he has a dedicated Dark Legacy, then that's basically the size it had in it. It had a 27-inch CRT. So basically, if he has the brackets and everything still in there, he could probably drop in one of these 27-inch CRTs. Now, the thing about it is, Tim, is that the CRTs are now more expensive than the LCDs. It used to be the other way, right? Like, it used to be the CRTs were cheaper, the LCDs were more expensive. But now it seems like we flip-flopped. You can get the 26-inch LCD cheaper than you can get the 27-inch CRT.
Wow.
Okay, and from my research. So that's something to keep in mind. So, I mean, if you want to go the original route and you already have the brackets in there for the original CRT, it may be better to stick with that. But otherwise, you may consider the LCD. It's a route for you to go as well. But like Tim mentioned, open frame, commercial grade, arcade quality LCD is what you want, okay? You can, you know, because otherwise you're going to be messing with converter boards. You're going to be trying to figure out how to get the monitor to come on. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff that is just a whole lot of extra work, Tim. And, you know, that's why having something that's made to go in an arcade game makes the process so much simpler for you. So, Tony, hopefully answers your question, and good luck installing a monitor into your Gauntlet Dark Legacy cabinet. Okay, Tim, we got a couple more here. Michael says, Arcade 1-Up and MAME in general, I have never seen a vector game look even close to as good as a raster monitor. Have y'all? No. So, and it won't, because vector monitors were designed to display lines and points in a certain way. That very bright, that very, you know, almost luminescent style that you almost get with like a black light and like neon colors. It kind of reminds me of how much it pops. But, you know, raster monitors weren't designed to display those type of lines and points and things like that. And so it's really hard to recreate a vector game on a roster monitor and get the same pop out of it.
I agree.
So and it's not Arcade 1-Up's fault. It's just the nature of the beast. If you're going to put an LCD in one, it's not a vector monitor. It's just not going to pop like an original vector monitor would. So
I need to make a new vector monitor.
Yeah, an LCD style vector monitor, right?
Cool.
Exactly. So I'm sure it's worked. Somebody's probably working on it. JR's Toys and More. I've got several games that have switching power supplies in them. I've noticed they all still have the original in them, but the new one seems to be wired through the old one. Why is this? Because it's easier.
Right.
It's easier to leave all the stuff in there.
Right.
I was going to say another word.
Yeah.
But it's easier to leave all the stuff in there and just wire up the switching power supply. I mean, here's the thing. If you have that game on location, you have to physically pull all that stuff out of the bottom of the game.
Right.
And then install the new stuff. It's way easier just to put the switching power supply in there and wire it all up.
Stick around. I think we got a question coming up.
Oh, do we?
It's going to be, talks about a step-down transformer.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay.
That may be similar to this situation we'll talk about here soon.
Look who looked at his outline this month. Man, I totally forgot about that. We're getting to that. But yes, it was just easier to leave the stuff in there. That's why. And operators are lazy by nature, and so they want to get things working. So, guys, I know some of you guys are collector repairers, which means that you repair things to collect. So you fix it like O'Shan and fix it for good, like we say here in Texas. But if you're an operator, it's all about getting it up quick and making money.
Right.
And so some of the fixes that we did as operators are a lot different than the fixes that you do as collectors. And you always have to remember that. And so, yes, in a collector repair type format, you'd want to remove the old power supply and put a switching power supply in there. In a operator style format, you just leave it in there and then just get it working.
Right.
So it's a big difference. Let's see. Have we got that? Oh, somebody, I see somebody mention a Tony. Oh, Tony. Oh, he's talking to Tony that we just, if you're located near Ohio, I may have a 27-inch CRT if you're interested. So JR's Vintage Toys and More on YouTube says if you're located in the Ohio area, Tony, he may have a 27-inch CRT for your Gauntlet Dark Legacy.
There you go.
People helping people. Community members helping community members. We love it. So there you go. JR, that's awesome for offering that up. If maybe we'll check with Tony and we'll see. If you're watching this, Tony, get with JR's Vintage Toys and More on YouTube. If you're in the Ohio area, maybe he can hook you up with a 27-inch monitor. Okay, Tim, we are caught up. So let us move on here to Seng. And he says, I just watched your video on checking a classic power supply and step-down transformers. My Street Fighter 2 has AC power going into a circuit board, into one step-down transformer, and then to a power supply. So what you're saying is that there's no need for both. If I have the power supply, there's no need for a step-down transformer. Now, Tim, so what I'm taking this as is that Singh probably has the setup like JR's talking about.
Right.
Like where he's got all of that in there. And so what he's asking is that if I already have a switching power supply in my game and that's what's wired up to the board, do I need the step-down transformer as well?
And the truth is, no, you don't need to run double power or to go through two things of power.
Sure.
If you got your AC filter already, you don't need that. So that's the question is, make sure it's the step-down transformer, not the isolation transformer.
Correct.
Two different things.
Absolutely.
You might need the isolation transformer if you're running an older style monitor. Now, if it's an LCD, you wouldn't need it either.
Right. You would need no transformers.
Right. You need no transformers. So, but the simple answer to what he asked is true. You don't need both.
Right. But you see, like we said...
But a lot of times you see both, and does it necessarily hurt everything? I mean, plenty of games will operate with them. They just kind of connect into the lines that are already there. But if something fails and could cause a chain reaction or something, you're better to simplify. And I just like simple. I don't like to look in a cabinet and see all kinds of what looks like a rat's nest down there.
Agreed.
Because they may slide the build in there if they see what already looks at home. So, by all means, if you don't need some stuff, I like to take it out.
Yeah, and
get
Tim,
rid of it.
And I think the biggest thing is that a lot of times, like if we were doing a conversion on a mispack, for instance, what would we do? We would clip the top of the step-down transformer and then attach those to the switching power supply. That's
right.
what we do. And so your step-down transformer probably doesn't even have output wires coming from it at this point if you've already got a switching power supply in there.
Probably
but
not.
you do want to double-check that and make sure that that is the case before you start taking things out and cutting things and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and show the slide here, Tim. Correct. You should not need a step-down transformer to run your Street Fighter 2 arcade board, just a switching power supply. Since Street Fighter 2 boards were installed in so many different cabinets, including Miss Pac-Man's, and we've seen that before, this step-down transformer is probably a relic left over from the game that was originally installed in your cabinet. Now, make sure that you don't mistake the isolation transformer for a step-down transformer, like Tim mentioned. Mini monitors require an isolation transformer to work properly, so check the power wiring to your monitor before removing anything.
Right.
Is that pretty good?
Yeah, I would say pre-2000, you're guaranteed you're going to need that isolation transformer.
Absolutely. And if you have a CRT monitor, there's a really good chance that you're going to need an isolation transformer. Not all CRTs needed it. There was a lot of chassis that had the isolation built into the actual chassis, which is nice. But the vast majority of CRT monitors did require an isolation transformer. So make sure you're taking out the step-down transformer and not the isolation transformer.
Right. It's usually the smaller one.
That's right. Usually the smaller one of the two is the isolation transformer. That's a good point, Tim. So it just depends on the cabinet and what kind of step-down transformers you have and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to take a drink. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Okay, so Tim, I don't see anything else in the live chat.
Okay.
So we will continue on here. And the next question is from Nick.
Okay. Hey, Nick.
And Nick says, "Greetings. Your videos are great and extremely easy to follow."
That was the point.
That is the point, right? A couple of questions concerning the 60-in-1 upgrade multi-K tutorial. JammaBoards.com is no longer in business. Are you aware of this, Tim?
I didn't. When I read that, I was like, I think they are out of business.
They have been out of business, yes.
Okay.
Can you provide an updated parts list and where to find them on the internet so I can mirror your install? It seems you have the best combination of parts. If only you could provide the info on where to get them. Thanks. Again. Yes, Jamma Board shut down when their owner passed away.
Right.
And I think the wife kept it running for a little bit and then decided to shut it down. Mm-hmm. And that was just a really sad thing because we had bought that kit and it worked really well. But the nice thing is that there are several other places that have basically put together the same kind of kit, right?
Yeah, so there's different kits that you can buy now from different vendors. And so I guess without any further ado, we can go on into
so let's go ahead and show. Yeah, we'll show our research.
I know it's Mike's Arcade is one of them, right?
Right. So yes, this is correct. Unfortunately, JammaBoards.com is no longer in business, but there are several other suppliers that sell the parts needed to complete this conversion. In fact, Mike'sArcade.com, Tim, which we have recommended in the past, is one of our preferred parts suppliers, sells a kit that pretty much does the same thing as the original JammaBoards kit that we used in the video. And Tim, the very top picture there is a picture of the kit. The only difference between this kit and the JammaBoards kit is that the JammaBoards kit came with an ATX style power supply. This one comes with a standard switching style power supply, like a standard looking switching power supply, which to be honest with you, I kind of prefer.
Right.
But it will be a little bit different because of that. But Tim, the nice thing is it looks like they already have the wires hooked up to the power supply. So all you have to do is plug those in directly to the board, and then the splicing connectors are the same.
Oh, nice.
So pretty much it's the same, as what you would get with like our video. So I mean, if you're looking for a drop-in solution, Nick, that's just like the JammaBoard solution, Mike'sArcade.com has you covered. Now, with that said, really the biggest part of this, Tim, is the adapter.
Right.
The Miss Pac-Man cabinet to Jamma PCB adapter. Hot Rod Arcade, Mike's Arcade, and Arcade Shop sell the adapter by itself, and then all you need is a power supply and a 60-in-1 board. So, I mean, if you want to put together your own kit, maybe a little bit cheaper.
And I think Arcade Shop sells it in different pieces. Like you can get it all together, or you can get just the board.
Right.
Or I think so that may be a good place to kind of, depending on what you need.
Yeah. And Hot Rod Arcade and Arcade Shop and Mike'sArcade.com are all preferred part sellers of ours. All places that we have ordered from many, many times. And Tim, we ordered from Arcade Shop back when they had the old website. They got a new website now. It looks really nice. But
I need to check that out.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get, like I said, the adapter. And Louis actually linked to Paradise Arcade Shop has the adapter as well.
Okay.
Which is another preferred vendor. So I mean, you can get the adapters now from pretty much anywhere. But if you're looking for a drop-in style kit that you just buy it once and have everything ready, Mike'sArcade.com has the kit.
I might have even ordered from Arcade Shop before there was a website.
That's true. Yeah, so. we used to put in the email. Remember that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you had to send an email in.
Yeah, we'd send the emails in. So, so just like Bob Roberts.
Right.
So there you go. But Arcade Shop, Mike's Arcade, Hot Rod Arcade, Paradise Arcade Shop, all of those places can hook you up with the adapter. But Mike's Arcade will also hook you up with the rest of the kit as well. So try that out. Let us know how it goes. If you have any questions after you get that kit and you need some help with installing it, let us know. So, before we go on, I should just say that the game room's looking cleaner.
Yeah,
I moved
it
some
is.
games yesterday, and the game room actually looks semi-presentable because we have some family coming in for the 410, and we usually
You've
have
done a good job.
Yeah, we haven't had family
Good
coming in
visit.
a while, like to visit, and anytime family comes in, I don't want to go to the game room, so I have to get all that ready. But so it's looking semi-presentable in here. Hopefully, I can make it more presentable as the day goes on and all that kind of stuff. So tonight, but just a couple little things to pick up here and there. But it's actually looking quite nice, I would say. So I need to put. I've got 2 arcade 1-up cabinets there, just sitting in boxes that I need to put together. I've got the 12-in one right here. You guys can't see it, but hopefully I can get the other ones put together soon. So let us continue on here.
You're not going to pull an all-nighter tonight and get them ready for the party tomorrow?
No. They're going to sit in boxes over there, and no
wait.
all-nighters. I'm too
waiting
old
for those kids to get old enough
That's
that they
right.
can learn some valuable
Exactly.
lessons.
I'm too old for all-nighters now. You know how it is.
Wait till Christmas time comes.
That's right. So, okay. So, Tim, the next one we have here is from Gary. And Gary says, I have inherited about 75 monitors, and most are without their chassis or flybacks attached.
Need to buy our storage unit?
You need to buy a storage unit.
He bought our storage unit.
He bought all of our old monitors, probably. How can I figure out which chassis goes with which monitor so I can begin testing them? Thanks for your help. Now, Tim, obviously, this is a pretty daunting task, right?
It is.
75 monitors.
Yeah, I think eventually you kind of start learning by the looks of it, but it's real simple. The first thing you'll look, if the neck board doesn't go on, you got to stop right there.
If the neck board doesn't fit,
you must quit. Right. So there's one obvious thing. If it's got more pins than you have holes, and you don't,
just the way you said that.
Okay.
More pins than you have holes.
Well, there you go. You can't use that. So that'll stop you. Then you have to start, but there are good resources like Bob Roberts and stuff where you can go and what is my monitor, but boy, that is tough when all the chassis are off. So a lot of it you got to learn how to read the yoke resistance and things like that to make sure. Then once you get it down though, you'll have it pretty. I think you'll run through it pretty quick.
Right. So the biggest thing, like Tim mentioned, you just need to identify the chassis. Which you can go to the What's My Monitor page on Bob Roberts' site to do that. And then you need to identify the tubes by checking the resistance on them. And there are websites, and Tim, I think we have a link down below in the show description, where you can check to see which yoke resistances are compatible with which chassis.
Right.
And then it's a matching game, right?
Yeah.
So you write down the yoke resistance, put a label on the tube, you put a little piece of paper on the chassis. This is what it is, and then you play what is it, like fill in the blank or
So what I would do first is probably identify my chassis.
Right.
Put all my 4900s, all my 4600s, all my 7000s. I put all even if you don't know what they are, put the ones that look alike. Put all those together. Then once you find out what those are, then you can start. But then somebody out there is thinking 70 monitors is a good problem to have. So
that's true.
And inherited them, so it doesn't sound like there was a lot of money involved. So maybe Gary let us know how that worked out. That would be an interesting video.
There you go.
To watch that or see some of that progress going along, or how long it takes you to do all that. It's a pretty big task.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and show this here, Tim. Now, this is not the picture of Gary's. I just thought it was kind of similar to what his setup might look like. But there you go with some just tubes stacked on top of tubes. But so you can start by identifying every monitor chassis you have to determine the make and model. And the What's My Monitor page on Bob Roberts' site will help you out. And Tim, we have a link down below for that. You will then need to identify the tubes you have by their yoke resistance ratings. There are several resources to match yoke resistance ratings to a particular make and model monitor chassis. And Tim, I think we linked to a post on maybe arcadecontrols.com that shows some of the chassis and what their yoke resistance is. So then, like I said, after that, what is it? It's just a game of matching them up.
Right.
So that's it. So, but like Tim mentioned, if the neck board doesn't fit,
you must quit.
You must quit. You can't go any further. If you got more pins than you have holes, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Too many pins, too little holes.
That's right, exactly. Then obviously you have to stop. So make sure that the neck board fits. Don't force a neck board on.
Right.
Big time key. Doing that, you'll break a pin or you'll damage a neck board. We've had both happen. Don't force it on. It should, the pin should match up perfectly. And when you push, it just should snugly fit on there and kind of click into place.
And if any of them are hissing at you, treat it like a snake. That's not a good sign, right?
There you go. So identify the chassis by make and model. Go to the What's My Monitor page of Bob Roberts' site. Take the yoke readings off, which we've got some of the ways that you can do the yoke resistance on our on the links down below, and then match them up, and then you'll be good to go. So hopefully that answers your question, Gary. Good luck identifying all 75 monitors. So there you go. Definitely a daunting task for sure.
I think so.
Now, Tim, Joe Rivera is here. He says, "Hi, team. Miss you guys. Keep up the awesome work." Joe, we miss you too.
Joe?
What's up, man?
Enjoying the baby pictures.
That's
Joe.
right. I was about to say. So, dad stuff is awesome. Love being a dad.
Keep posting them. I like to see them. Feel like I'm being a part there.
There you go.
The rearing here.
So, Joe, thanks for joining us tonight. We always enjoy having you here. Danny says, really wanting a Pac-Man cabinet or Galaga, or both. I've looked into building them myself because they want so much just for empty cabinets, especially popular games, and Nintendo is one too. Yeah, it sounds like my son is outside the door. I think he wants to come in. Speaking of Daddy right there.
Right.
So, obviously. But Tim, Danny wants a Pac-Man or Galaga cabinet. Any suggestions for him as far as finding one?
Well, the fortunate thing, that is the cabinet that a lot of people sell, the repros of.
Sure.
And if you can, if you put a 60 in one or something, you'd have both.
Right.
So I would highly recommend building your own multi-cave. I think the kits that we talk about, I know that the Holland Computer Kit, Arcade Shop sells a kit. There's probably other resources. I think if those are your games and you can't find dedicated ones, that's a very good alternative.
Arcade Shop has sold cabinets, Tim. I mean, for a long time, and now the shipping's a little high. But I mean, if you're looking for a cabinet, Arcade Shop will sell you one too. Tim, we used to keep around the side of a Miss Pac. In fact, we still have it. The side of a Miss Pac-Man cabinet, just so we could put it down on a sheet of wood, trace it out, and cut it out.
Yeah, we made several of our own. They're probably floating around Texas somewhere that look probably almost like they came from the factory, but we made them ourselves. So.
Right, exactly. So I mean, if you have a template, you can pretty much build it pretty easily. There's not a whole lot to it. It's pretty easy. So that's another way to go about it. Definitely building your own is always an option for you, Danny. So Arcade Shop though does sell them. Holland Computer sells kits, like we mentioned, Tim. Cocktail kits. I think they have an upright kit. If you contact them, they'll let you know.
And there's probably the plans floating around the internet too, where you could go to a local cabinet shop and have somebody cut you out one.
And we've done that before too.
Yeah.
So in a local cabinet shop is a lot cheaper a lot of times than what you get with like Arcade Shop, because they have to build it and ship it to you, so a little bit different. So check with local cabinet shops and see what they would charge to do that if you have the plans as well. So let's see. Davin says, I reached out to Bob Roberts a few months ago. Email response, Bob is not available. Please look elsewhere for help. If you haven't heard from him in a while, might check before referring people to him. And yeah, and here's the thing. We know that. Bob has not been taking orders for a while,
Yeah,
guys.
we're not referring him to his site. So
exactly. We are referring to his site. The What's My Monitor page on his site is still a very good page. His site still has a lot of resources, even though you can no longer get parts from Bob.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you can read the articles.
Exactly. He's still got the Geo7 Curl Fix mod up there, which is very helpful for you guys who have Electro Home Geo7 monitors. He's got, obviously, the monitor identification page that we just talked about. Tim, he's got one that breaks down how to do sync, which is very valuable on a monitor and all that kind of stuff. So there's still a lot of great resources on Bob Roberts' page, but please keep in mind, he's no longer selling parts.
Right.
Okay, so if you're contacting him about stuff, more than likely you're not going to get a response. But the resources on his page are still very valuable. So make sure you check out his page if you're looking for information about arcade repair. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. We refer people to a website for reference, not to buy parts. Louis actually said that for us. Exactly. So for reference, yeah, don't buy parts from Bob Roberts anymore. He doesn't sell them anymore. So, which is sad.
Yeah,
Bob, if you're watching this, please come back.
Right.
But, we understand life gets in the way, Tim.
Right.
Health, other things. So we wish Bob Roberts the best, for sure.
Right. Maybe it's just retirement, too. Maybe
yeah, exactly.
He's just enjoying some time off.
Exactly. He's been doing this a long time, guys. So, But anyway. Okay, Tim, it looks like we're caught up, so let's move to some YouTube questions. Excuse me. Jace says, when I turn on my arcade machine, it comes on, I can hear the game come on, it's working, but my monitor shows a fully purple screen. I can't see anything. Can someone help me? And then Zelos says, I tried drilling holes in plexiglass, and I guess my step drill bit wasn't fine enough. When they crack, it can pierce your eyes. Do you wear safety glasses? I need to find a better step drill bit because mine isn't doing it for me. So, Tim, we have two questions here. We have one from Jace that's wondering about his game, which just basically has a purple screen, but he can hear it. And then we have Zelos, who's trying to drill some holes in some plexiglass, and it sounds like he may have cracked it. So, Tim, let's go with Jace real quick. What do you think's going on with just this purple screen on his arcade monitor.
Well, the good news is he says he can hear it.
Right.
So that seems to rule out that he's having some kind of board issue.
Not necessarily.
Or not necessarily, but to an extent.
To an extent.
That there's a lot of good things going on. But having said that, a straight purple screen, he's not getting a signal for some reason.
Sure.
So I would definitely check the wiring going to your monitor, and also to make sure that it's not your monitor, that it is. In other words, when you unplug, do you just get a straight white screen then? Does it change colors? Does it do anything different? But you need to check the cabling and stuff. I would definitely suspect that there's some kind of connection issue.
Absolutely. And Tim, it could be a board issue. Not going to rule that out like we mentioned.
It could be, because there's video output on your board that could cause that. So what game was it, did we say?
He did not say.
See, it could be a newer game. You
Right.
could have a bad video card.
Right.
Depending on the game, something like that. That's
Something bad in the
causing-
video section of the
Right,
board.
so you still hear the gameplay, but you don't see the video, so that's something that I would check also.
But a lot of times when you get like a single color bright like that, I mean, sometimes it can be the board. Like with CPS2 boards, for instance,
For
we'll
sure.
have that where, like if it's Suicide, you'll have like a single
Right, but
color.
you won't always hear it playing and working.
Correct, and that's kind of the key here, exactly, is that we're hearing some playing and some working. And so in this particular case, a lot of times a straight color screen just means that you're not getting a signal, like
Right.
you mentioned. And so I think in Jace's case, he definitely needs to check his input stuff, like you mentioned. Now, Tim, what about Zelos here about the step drill bit? It sounds like he cracked it.
Yeah, and with any bit, you still got to be careful not to put a lot of pressure. But I always would start off with a very small high-speed drill bit pilot hole. So to not just start with the, I don't know if we showed that in the video or not, but
I think we just used the step drill bit, which is fine. But here's the deal, guys. Make sure you keep the plastic on it.
yeah,
That makes a huge difference in
Right.
cracking. And we do recommend the safety goggles. Okay,
Yes,
we
for
did not
sure.
use them, but it's not a bad idea it's never a bad idea to wear safety glasses.
For sure.
Never. And so if you're worried about cracking, do that. Tim, the biggest thing that we've seen with people cracking them, though, is when they try to push down too hard with the bit.
going too fast.
Exactly.
If you're-
So if you're pushing down too hard, you really need to let the drill bit do its thing.
Exactly.
So you just hold it, let the weight of the drill kind of rest on the plexi. Don't push down. Just
Right.
let the weight of the drill rest. And as it starts to go through the plexiglass, once you get that first layer done, it's all gravy after that.
Right.
So once you get the first top of the step drill bit in, then after that it's very easy. It takes just a second.
Agreed.
So, but if you're pushing down, you're gonna crack it. I mean, it's no different than if you're taking a screwdriver and pushing down with the screwdriver on the plexiglass.
Right.
You're gonna crack it. But try to let the step drill bit do its thing, drill a little bit at a time, and then once it falls through, you can go as far as you need to go.
Right, and there are different brands of plexiglass. Some are a little bit more expensive, but there's a reason why. They are a little tougher,
Right.
and they will not crack as easily. So you kind of get what you pay for in a step bit, too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're buying the Harbor Freight one, not a
Right.
big fan of the Harbor Freight step drill bit. I've used it and don't like it. So there's one that we recommend in that video. There's
Right.
a link to one on Amazon that we actually used. That one is better.
Yes.
The Harbor Freight one, like anything with Harbor Freight,
Right.
hit or miss.
Right.
So always keep that in mind. There's some stuff, Tim, at Harbor Freight I absolutely love, and there are some things that I would never buy at Harbor Freight. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So keep that in mind. So cordless power tools at Harbor Freight,
Right.
just don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. DeWalt, get you a
Right.
name brand cordless.
But like a mirror magnet that you're going to check behind your game when you're working on monitors.
Yeah, you're
great,
fine.
Great place.
Exactly.
Great place to buy some little security bits or
right,
stuff like
exactly.
that.
So, man, they have the best deal on those security bits.
Yeah, they do.
Flashlights, or batteries, painting supplies. I mean, there's a lot of things at Harbor Freight that are great. But
Right.
cordless parts and step drill bits, or drill bits in general. Because I
Yeah.
got some concrete drill bits to do the. I've done some of the. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've done some of the shutters on my house with plastic,
okay.
and their concrete bits cracked.
Oh,
So drill bits in general at,
Right.
at Harbor Freight just
you
don't.
kind of get what you pay for sometimes.
Don't buy drill bits there. Buy your drill bits at Home Depot.
Well, like you go to
Lowe's.
Home Depot or Lowe's, sometimes you only need that one size bit. You don't have to buy a whole kit, and you can get a higher dollar bit for that one size you need.
Exactly.
Like concrete bits.
Exactly. So for drill bits, buy the good brands. Don't buy the cheap stuff. Don't cheap out on the drill bits.
Right,
That-
or the
that's what we
electrical
always say.
tape either.
Exactly. Irwin makes good bits. That's what Michael says.
Okay.
Irwin Weiss. They make
Yes.
good everything. So, anyway, so let's show this real quick, Tim. So, Jace, you want to make sure that you have a good connection between your main game board and your monitor. Check all the wires and or cabling running between the 2 points. Might use a continuity check on your multimeter to ensure a connection is being made. We always recommend continuity check, Tim. It's a great way to check, right? Make sure you're getting good connections. Zelos, even with the step drill bit, you need to be careful about not pressing down too hard on the plexiglass. Take your time. Let the drill bit do the work. The type of plexiglass you buy matters, like you said, Tim. Safety glasses are not a bad idea, just in case you do crack it. And Tim, now here's another thing is though, if you keep the plastic on, it keeps it from cracking a lot. So even if you do crack it, if it's underneath the plastic, a lot of times that plexi won't fly up at you.
Right.
You know, so leave the plastic on.
Yeah.
Big time. Leave the plastic on until you cut everything you need to cut, then peel it.
Right.
So can't say anything better than that.
You
Okay.
can also draw on the plastic and without
Yes.
drawing on your plexi.
Exactly. So if you have a layout
Change your
intended,
mind.
exactly. If you already have your control panel layout, you can go ahead and draw it on the plastic, drill all the holes that you need, and then peel the plastic off, and you're right where you need to be. So cool stuff. Okay, Tim. Last question here, and it's a little bit different.
Okay.
So it's from the Headless Horseman. He says, "Hello, and Tim and Jonathan. This is the Headless Horseman from YouTube here. I don't think he's here with us tonight, Tim, but he's somewhere out there. He'll be watching this soon, hopefully. I had a quick question. I hope no one has asked before. Hopefully, both of you can answer. What is the worst arcade-related injury? What is your worst arcade-related injury? I know both of you took a shock from a flyback before. Was there anything worse than that? Did you ever cut yourself with an X-Acto knife when working on a machine? Did you ever topple over on top of you? Or did a machine ever topple over on top of you when moving or working on one? Ever throw your back out lifting a heavy game that you should have had help moving, etc.? In my case, I had an 80s era Dixie Narco all-metal frame Pepsi machine topple over on me before when I was moving it on a dolly. It was no fun, but I escaped with just a couple of bruises. Definitely could have been worse. Thank you for answering. Hope you guys are doing well."
Okay.
So, Tim, worst arcade-related injury, and maybe the people in the chat can also chime in on this. They have some good stories. I'll let you go first. What's the worst thing you think you've done?
Boy, when he was asking those questions, I'm going, yes, 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 that's happened. Probably the worst was getting shocked.
Yeah.
I will have to say that the one that I felt for a couple days, I've had plenty of minor cuts and bruises. Usually used to go home from work, look like I'd been in a cat fight and cat scratched me all over. But for most of the part, I had been fortunate. But I would say that I do feel like that one year we moved a lot of games, a lot of pinball machines without dollies and stuff. And I did have to have back surgery one time.
Yes, I remember that.
So, I highly would recommend, especially younger guys, to use dollies, lifts, whatever
Lift from
you can.
your legs,
all
back straps.
all that good stuff, because I do feel like that it probably was not the only thing that contributed, because I did work in a warehouse for 10 years.
Right.
At the same time, I'm a lot smarter these days in how I move stuff, from moving a game yesterday, right, Jonathan?
Right, exactly.
And what that was like. What about you, John? I can't think of anything
So
major.
I'll talk about what
any
you were talking about
bones.
yesterday. So I moved a game yesterday because I was cleaning up the game room. The
Right.
Soul Edge, the stinky Soul Edge that I talked about in an earlier show. But I put it in the truck myself. I loaded it up. But when it came to getting it out, it had casters on it, which we've also talked about.
Right.
And every time I pick it up, the casters would roll back, and this thing had a 25-inch monitor, and it's super heavy. And so at one point, I'm just like, I need help. So I called a buddy. I tried to call you. You're at work, but I called another friend. He came and helped me with it. I try to be smart about that stuff. I'm not gonna try to pick it up myself if I know I can't handle it. I've had games slip out from underneath when I had the dolly on them, like like kind of miss and had that. Cuts and bruises come with the territory. I mean, you're just gonna get cut up and bruised. Working on control panels, your hands are just gonna get totally cut up. I don't think we've ever I've never sliced off anything or anything like that, thankfully. Like, so X-Acto knife stuff, like a lot of times I don't think we've ever had anything like that. We try to be really careful.
For the most part, and
try.
I think we've been fortunate. I had a capacitor blow in my ear. I was listening. It was kind of making a hissing noise, and I was listening at it, and it blew up right in my ear, popped. And I lost hearing in that ear for about 2 or 3 days, and it just ringing in my ear. that may have been the worst. If you really had to just hurt and couldn't sleep and my head hurt, that was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. Anybody in the chat room chiming in yet?
Louis says he got shocked.
Yeah.
YouTube Punk says he can't stick around, but he'll catch the replay, and he donated some money.
Oh,
thank
you,
YouTube Punk. If you're watching this later, we always appreciate you being here. Sorry you couldn't make the whole show. Next month, we'll be back. But anyway, so, I mean, probably being shocked was probably the worst. I mean, shocked. But, the shock is one of those things that just kind of, catches you off guard, it seems.
Right.
Like. Even though like, it's a possibility, until you feel it,
right?
It doesn't. One of the things, too, is, have you ever sat a chassis on your lap? Like,
yeah, and
it sticks into you, and then you scrape it off, and So the solder points on the bottom of modern chassis sometimes are so sharp that they'll go right through your clothes, or if you're wearing shorts or something like that, and that really hurts. I
burned my fingers plenty of times on a solder or soldering iron.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, adds up over time. It's
been
just
burned.
Been
shocked, been cut.
Yeah.
Nothing, but I mean, we're still alive, and I'm not missing any fingers or digits or toes.
And nothing ever made me scared to attempt another repair or something. I'm sure there are worse, but anybody in the chat room come up with a horror story yet?
Oh, no, but let's see. Michael says, I love how people think a CRT will kill you. Well, a lot of them had warnings on the back that said.
Yeah, they made you think that.
Right.
And I don't, I see how it is possible. It is technically possible. I had an assistant tech one time that was shocked, and we had to take him to the emergency room. It did run across his heart and scare him pretty good. And like I tell, for those who know my story, I won't go into the details. I'll just say that, when power goes in, it comes out somewhere. And so not being able to sit down very good for a couple days was my story. Anybody else in there?
No, I think that's about it. So if anybody else has any other stories of how they got beat up, I mean, so the shock is the worst, I think, just because, like I said, a lot of times you're not expecting it.
Right.
And it'll throw you back, depending on how, what you're touching.
Right.
Like, you'll literally, you'll be like, ah!
Yeah.
And it can be really scary for, half a second,
We definitely haven't, okay. I don't think we've definitely had much blunders like that in shooting videos.
No.
We've been very lucky, and
I
try to be careful, too.
Exactly. I mean...
And, one thing I think that it always helps, John, that we always kind of worked on stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
So that saved, like you said the other day, you were trying to move this by yourself.
Right.
2 people, it was easy, right?
Right.
And so I think having a buddy or a friend, just an extra pair of eyes, hey, watch out, or don't do this, or let me help you, that really saves a lot of pain and agony and hopefully some mistakes.
We've blown up a lot of electronic parts, transistors, capacitors, just putting them in wrong sometimes.
But probably most of the times I can think of even getting burned or hurt, or that time that capacitor blew in my ear I was by myself. So I think it definitely has a little advantage to having 2 people or buddy system. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, well, before we move on to your tech tip, Tim, it seems like we've got a couple of other things here. JR says, I consider myself a newbie. I noticed a lot of games I recently picked up have a special kind of fuse installed. Most of them, it's a Wrigley's gum wrapper. Why? Why? LOL. Well, because we're operators and we want to get the game running.
Yeah, they're being cheap and fix and
quick. Exactly. You don't always have the 5 amp slow blow fuse that you need. In fact, you may not have a fuse on you.
Right.
So what do you do?
Well, hopefully
you get the game working.
Hopefully you do take a box of fuses with you and be prepared. Even if you go the wrong size fuse in a temporary is better than Wrigley's gum. But I have seen that, and it is kind of scary when you think about it. Used to we'd go to auction or whatever, we'd see a game blow a fuse, we'd be like, oh, it's a fuse, it's just a fuse. Well, something caused that fuse to blow, and so by hijacking that part and forcing it to work is not great either, because there's still something going on that fuse is preventing further damage.
Exactly. So now you're just looking to get in your board or your chassis or something blown
Exactly. So yeah, we're not a big fan of the Wrigley's experiment. But in that particular brand, never Big Red,
That's
always
true.
Wrigley's.
They like the silver. I think it's the silver wrapper.
I guess so. Well,
it is what it is. So anyway, okay, Tim. Well, we are done with the questions for this month, but we do have a tech tip. And Tim, this is a little bit different, but this is something you had kind of messaged me about, and I think if there's a lot of operators out there that may be curious about this, and it sounds like something you've done. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what's going on here?
Well, this tech tip is about turning your arcade crane machine into a redemption game. And what we did recently was we purchased some redemption balls from Redemption Plus out of Kansas. And what they do is you mix them in with your crane machine or your toys. But they actually, as you can see on the picture, they say like 100, 200, 50, 100. Different prizes, and they have a barcode on there. And of course, if you use an embed system like we do, when you scan it, it comes in. So they turn it in. They win that ball. We give them a similar ball, so they still get a ball to take home. And then we give them that amount of tickets add that to their winnings. So pretty cool idea, I thought. Now, I think if kind of anything that could cause someone to want to play that crane machine more, which we're going to get into in just a little bit.
Well, I don't know if we're going to talk about that. I don't have that story. That was
okay.
But we'll talk about
it. That is something that anything that drives revenue.
So you still give them the ball
and gives them up. I give them a different ball because I want to keep that one.
But you give them a ball.
Right, because when I keep that one, guess what I'm doing with it? I'm going to recycle it, put it back in the game,
sure.
Let somebody else win it, and also I can control which balls I have in at any given time.
Sure.
It's not all full of these balls. I have them mixed in, so I might throw a 500 ticket one in there, or maybe just a 50 ticket one or something. So I thought it was a novel and a neat idea. And but even if it didn't have the barcode, if they just brought it up there and your redemption, you can redeem it for 500 tickets. I think that's just kind of cool instead of winning a teddy bear or something. So my tech tip this month is to try to come up with new and inventive ways to get people to play the same game.
Sure.
And kind of like the operator that would put a $10 bill around a teddy bear and put him in there.
Right.
Which one do you want to win, right? The bear with the
David, that would Velcro it down to the bottom.
Right. Well, that's a different story. But anyway, that was my tech tip for this month. If you haven't checked into that company, Redemption Plus, they do preferred vendor for me as an operator, and I think that those ticket ball things are pretty neat. And they sell them in different sizes, so we have them for the small crane. And we actually have the big giant balls for the big giant crane that we have.
Nice. And Tim, one of the things I love is like whenever I go to Mr. Gaddy's, it seems like there's always at least one kid with those giant balls around.
Right.
So that means that they're winning them out of that crane.
Exactly. It holds 50.
Now it's $1 a play.
It's $2 a play.
$2 a play.
It holds 50, and we go through probably 50 a week.
Wow.
And
So people are winning at your place.
Yeah, well, we want them to win because when they go out of that game room bouncing that big ball, everybody knows they won it, they got it. And it's just especially for a little kid. I saw a little girl carrying one out, and I thought, wow, that ball is almost as big as she is. You couldn't see her hair. All you could see was these two little hands and feet below that ball, and she was walking around with it. But that's part of the fun, right? So now that we can offer even more fun with the same game without really doing anything to it. So I'm always curious if you have a tip like that on something that if you're an operator, and we have several operators in here,
yep, and
also that listen to us. So this was more of an operator tip this month, but we like to do things that are a little different. And so if you've got any other tips for us on how to make revenue and stuff and make games more exciting like that, same game, just a little twist, be sure and email and let us know about it.
There's a reason why those coin pushers always have the dollar bills too on the
right
top, right?
Exactly.
So, but anyway, yeah, always it kind of it changes up the game. It's hard to do that with like video games a lot of times, but you got to remember, like back in the day with like speed up chips and zoom buttons and things like that, that's basically what they were trying to do too.
Yeah, our most popular game, of course, is the Marvel game where they trying to win the cards.
Yeah,
and it's a pusher, and they collect those cards and you can turn them in for a really big prize. So
there you go. So yeah, so there's always good ways to change the way that you're making money, right?
Right.
Try some different things. Like I said, I don't know if zoom buttons and speed up chips may be kind of like a past thing, but it seems like mods on video arcade games nowadays aren't really a thing. Not like they used to be back in the day, and maybe just because of the way how expensive they are and different things. But it would be nice to see more, I guess, cabinets with upgradability like that for sure. So anyway. Tim, I think that was pretty good. So let us move on here to some news. Now, the first thing we have here, Tim, is something that we actually got a lot of feedback on this. So Replica Star Wars Arcade 1-Up machine revives classic X-Wing controller. The new Arcade 1-Up Star Wars cabinet is slated to arrive this fall and is the only at-home arcade cabinet to feature the original arcade software and features an X-Wing pilot controller. The iconic X-Wing flight stick is put to good use in the 3 Star Wars games that come with the cabinet: Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Of course, Tim, these are all vector games, like we mentioned. So on the screen, they don't look as good as they would on a vector monitor, but they're still pretty cool. Now, Tim, a lot of people never thought Arcade 1-Up was going to do Star Wars.
Right.
I mean, Star Wars, for one, you have to license the Atari, which they've already licensed a lot of Atari stuff, but you also have to license the Star Wars license from it. But they were able to do this. Now, Tim, I believe the price is going to be $500 or $499. So it is more expensive than some of the other Arcade 1-Up cabinets that you get. But you're also getting like the yoke, you're getting the X-Wing flight stick, you're getting 3 games.
It's not a joystick.
Not getting a joystick and a button for this. You're getting a pretty authentic arcade experience, except for maybe the monitor.
Right.
Okay.
And the size.
And so when I was looking through comments, it seems like this game in particular may have changed the minds of a lot of different people who had thought in the past that Arcade 1-Up was not as...
Because Star Wars have gotten so unaffordable for most people.
Yeah, like what is the going rate for Star Wars now? $2,000?
Yeah, at
more?
least.
So, I mean, exactly. So, but Tim, with that in mind, I think we should go to our arcade debate segment for this episode, Tim, and that is... Does the upcoming Atari Star Wars Arcade 1-Up cabinet change your mind about purchasing one? Now, Tim, obviously, I've already purchased some, but you haven't.
So
this is more, I guess, about you.
Right.
But for a lot of guys out there, this is kind of just to present a pro and con with some of the people out there. Have you been poo-pooing Arcade 1-Up, for lack of a better term, and now has this changed your mind about them? Or do you still think that Arcade 1-Ups are basically just cheap knockoffs of full-size cabinets? I guess is the thing tonight.
Fair enough.
So, Tim, let us, with that in mind, let us go ahead and go to our arcade debate. Here we go. Boom. Okay. I'm gonna scoot over a little bit here. Okay. So, Tim, we'll do a little reset here, and then we'll move on to it and get right into the arcade debate. Well, hello, guys, and welcome to the arcade debate for this evening. And Tim, it's interesting that Arcade 1-Up has just announced a new Star Wars cabinet coming this fall. And this is something that a lot of people thought would never happen, mainly because the Star Wars license is obviously very coveted and can be expensive depending on the item. But they're making it, it's got the actual X-Wing control flight stick on it, and it is vector games, but obviously it's still on an LCD monitor. So there's a lot of collectors out there, Tim, now that have kind of changed their mind about Arcade 1-Up. So the question is, does the Arcade 1-Up Star Wars cabinet change your mind about Arcade 1-Up at all? So Tim, what do you think? Does it change your mind? Do you still have a similar opinion as before they announced it, or have you changed your mind and now you're more positive towards Arcade 1-Up?
I think that I'm still a similar opinion, John. I don't see that this is the savior for the Arcade 1-Up to bring the arcade community on board.
Okay, so, well, I think it actually could be the savior for bringing the arcade community on board, because we'll get into that, but I'm going to let you say first. So why do you not think that this is the savior for bringing the arcade community on board? I love that phraseology. I'm going to keep using it.
It's still the mini midget cabinet. It's still... that are made for either really short people or, it's the same problem. They still didn't fix a couple of issues, and nobody's played one yet. I'd be very... surprised, just like the Tempest spinner wasn't anywhere close to a Tempest, that flight joystick is anywhere close to the original Star Wars joystick.
So I'm going to agree with you on the Tempest spinner. We all know it was terrible, okay? It was not a good spinner. I have The 12-in-1 cabinet, it is not a good spinner, but I think that the flight yoke is going to be different, Tim. It seems like they have partnered with some people who make arcade quality parts in this case. Now, Tim, I know that it's probably coming out of China, and who knows what we're going to end up with as a final result, but I think that at least it shows that Arcade 1-Up is doing their due diligence when it comes to controls. They could have put a joystick and a button on this thing, right? But they didn't. They decided to go full-on yoke, and I, for one, support it. What do you say?
I think that's a much better idea. That the actual joysticks. It was like making a Tron with push buttons or something. You just can't. There's certain things you can't do, and I think Tron would be another game that they should tackle. But that's another story. But still, Jonathan, there's something about original Star Wars, that vector monitor that you're not going to get. It's not going to look the same on an LCD. Unless they could replicate how that vector really looked, I think that you're still going to disappoint a lot of arcade collectors.
But here's the thing about Star Wars, Tim. How much is a fully restored arcade Star Wars going for right now?
I have no idea, except for that it's very expensive.
Let's say $2,000 to $3,000
at least.
Let's say fully restored at $2,000 to $3,000. And how many games do you get with that, Tim?
You get one.
Now, you can buy the kit that allow you all 3 games. There is a kit. I think Stan had one that allowed just 2. If I remember correctly. So there is a kit that you can get, but that will be more money on top of it. So maybe you're looking at a minimum investment of like $3,000 to $4,000 to get this. We're talking about something that costs $500, and you're getting all 3 games. I think for the price that you're getting, there's a lot of collectors who want a Star Wars that this may be good enough to get them into Arcade 1-Up.
I think it's a good Star Wars piece to add to your figurine collection because it's about the same size as the figurines. In fact, they probably made some Star Wars figurines that are taller. But at the same time, does the marquee light up?
Not on this particular model, I don't think so, Tim.
It's like they still have some things they've done improved on, but there's still the stuff arcade people want that they're still lacking on.
Now, there's a good aftermarket for light up marquees and things like that. So it's not to me, I don't think it'd be a deal breaker. Tim, I think in the response that we've seen, several arcade people who were not looking at Arcade 1-Up at all are now starting to look at it because of Star Wars.
And I assume that there's going to be a higher price tag because they're not going to sell it. It's not going to be at the bargain bin at Walmart like the others.
We're talking about $4.99, okay,
right,
versus $3,000 to $4,000. I think we're talking about almost a tenth of the price of what it would cost. You could buy 10 Arcade 1-Up Star Wars for what it would cost you to buy one actual Star Wars arcade.
No, you're talking $4.99 compared to $2.99 like the other ones. Is there really that much more into this one? Other than
yoke and licensing.
Fees?
Yoke and licensing. That's what I would say. Yoke and licensing. But guys, it really doesn't matter what we say. What do you think? Has the Arcade 1-Up Star Wars changed your mind at all about the Arcade 1-Up brand? Tim, is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
No, I think that it is a move in the right direction. Still got a little ways to go, Arcade 1-Up, but I think many collectors are going to be happy that you're bringing those more rare games that aren't as easily accessible as, say, a Centipede or a Miss Pac-Man.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for joining us for the arcade debate tonight. And let us know what you think by posting in the comments if you're on Facebook. If you're on Twitter watching this, respond back. Let us know what you think. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next arcade debate segment. Okay, are we done?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many of these live shows have we done and debate topics have we done now?
29.
I keep thinking of how do you keep coming up with new ones, but at the same time, there's always something to debate.
There's always something to fight about.
Right.
So it always is.
And as you know, by the show, we kind of pick a side. Sometimes I'll pick whatever my opposite opinion is, or we'll both have the same opinion.
Right.
We do think it's probably pretty cool that they at least moving into something like that.
Yeah. Now, I think that does come with the riser for the 500.
Yeah.
And it is a Star Wars riser,
okay,
which is kind of cool. So,
that's
you are getting it a little bit taller than what you normally would, but still, it's still an Arcade 1-Up when you look. And the cabinet style is different than the rest of the Arcade 1-Ups. It's styled more like the traditional Star Wars cabinet, which is really cool.
The picture, it does. And the artwork, we've never had much other than the control panel.
Right.
We haven't had any. The artwork has always been kind of amazing anyway.
Yeah, they've done really good. All of the cabinets I think have fairly decent artwork on them. I haven't seen one that's just like terrible.
Right.
The Asteroids cabinet, the Street Fighter cabinet, and the 12-in-1 all look nice to me. As far as
the chat room chiming in now?
Let's see. Oh, Return of the Jedi was a raster game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yes, he is. That is correct.
that is correct. So it's on this though.
Okay.
So I mean, you can play it. But anyway, Matthew said, and I think that's something else here. Oh, he says, I think all arcade one-ups will say are terrible. It's a neat idea, but the quality and size are horrible. Quality is not as bad as what you'd think.
Yeah.
After owning one, it's for the price you're paying.
Exactly.
It really isn't terrible.
Well, I'll be honest. I drive my wife drives a Hyundai.
Right.
Okay. She had a Santa Fe Limited, and it is comparable with a Lexus.
Sure.
It has a Bose stereo system, has a sunroof, it has leather seats and stuff. If you're sitting in that car, feature for feature, but it's about half the price.
Sure.
So I understand it's still not a Lexus, and it may not last as long, but at the same time, it's like.
It may not give as smooth a ride.
Exactly.
But
right,
it's
a little more road noise.
Still get you where you're
stuff
going.
like that. So we enjoy the Santa Fe. But so I think some people, but that's maybe a good analogy that where I don't mind, it has to be a name brand or it has to, what I'm saying is there are people out there that aren't true blood arcade collectors like us.
Right.
That they just want something to play and relive a childhood memory, or it looks cool, or introduce something like that to their kids. And so it has a market, and it is what it is.
There you go. So okay, well I think that does it, Tim, for the arcade debate segment. Now before I move on here, real quick, we're gonna go to a question from Matthew. Speaking about crane claw machines, does anyone have a resource on repairing them? A friend picked up one, it's not working. They want me to try to fix it. If you can find the manual for it, if you know what type it is, there's a lot of crane companies that are still in business. Smart Industries, for instance, is still in business, and Smart made a lot of different cranes. So, but if you can find the manual for it,
somebody makes a generic board.
Holland Computers makes a generic crane head and board.
Yeah, that's something I would look into. You could technically, because all you want it to do is work. You don't care what the guts are in it or that the head. Holland Computers makes a generic board and a crane head. And
tracked and everything.
Yeah, there you go. So that may be something that you look into.
Yeah, there you go. But if you can find the manual, Tim, manuals are invaluable.
Yeah, let us know what brand it is. Smart Crane Industry is still in business.
Yeah, they've been in business a long time, and
Mhm.
so a lot.
And you know what? They actually are still very helpful, even with an old crane.
Yeah, Clean Sweeps, right?
Yeah.
That's their brand. I always forget. So, so if you can find those, if it's a Smart Industries, you may contact them.
But most of them work off the same. They use a principle of the magnet that they use and stuff, and
limit switches.
Yeah, so. If you can tell me what's going on with it, write us and email us a question, and we'll be glad to help you. I actually know quite a bit about crane machines.
There you go. Common Rider says, do you guys have a Ghouls and Ghosts cabinet or know of one for sale? So we do not.
No.
And we don't know of any for sale at this time, but always keep an eye on eBay, Craigslist, different sales sites,
auctions
Facebook,
near you
auctions. Those are going to be the places that you want to check out. So, but yeah. I mean, Ghouls and Ghosts in particular can be a hard cabinet to come by. I've seen a couple of them, obviously, over the years. But, keep your eyes peeled, and you'll probably find one. Auctions are a great place, like Tim mentioned. Depending on where you're located, there's auctions all over the United States.
What I would do, I would contact the auctioneer company and tell them, and it kind of, how much you're actually willing to pay. Tell them, I'm looking for this. I'll pay this much for it. You really want the cabinet, it sounds like. So, if you could find one for me, I would pay you to ship it or deliver it or whatever.
I was about to say, I know
it's gonna
that
be expensive either way.
David, our good buddy, he runs an auction company, and he takes bids from people all the time. So
American Amusement
exactly,
auctions.
American Amusement Auction. So he'll
a proxy bid.
Exactly, he'll do a proxy bid. So if he if he knows you're looking for Ghouls and Ghosts, you tell him how much you want to pay. If one comes up, he'll proxy bid it for you. So that way, if it sells, he can contact you and say, hey, I sold it, and you'll have to pay. So have to pay all the buyer's premiums and everything like that you normally have to pay, but at least you'll get your hands on one. So
right.
So happy 4th, guys, from Andrew. Thank you. Happy 4th to you. Happy
you guys like my
everybody.
shirt?
I like that. America. It should just say America. Forget the A.
Maybe I'll take out the A.
There you go. So, kind of Atari-ish. So there you go. But let's see. Matthew says, thanks, guys. Get some details. Troubleshoot you an email. Thanks. Love tuning into your live shows. Great show, guys. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for being here. We love having you here.
Right.
We love having all you guys here. It's been fun tonight. We've had a lively live chat. Is that a good way to say it? Lively live chat. There you go. I feel like I need to be practice that on my Anchorman or whatever. But anyway. News stories, guys. And here's another arcade one up. they didn't just announce Star Wars 10. They also announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Marvel Superheroes.
Wow.
And Tim, I don't know if you noticed at their E3 booth, but they had like a 16-foot tall arcade.
Yeah.
That I can think was only inspired by our April Fool's
I think
show.
so.
So I'm just gonna give ourselves credit for that. So, but anyway, yeah. So these Tim are pretty nice. Now the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one is the first one with the 4 players.
Right.
And it has Turtles in Time and the regular Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
And then the Marvel Superheroes has Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, and Punisher, which, Tim, to be honest with you, are probably, Marvel Superheroes and X-Men Children of the Atom are probably my least favorite in that series.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still fun to play. So, and Marvel Superheroes is cool because you can use the different Infinity Stones in it, which is kind of neat. So, I mean, there are some benefits to it. Those are some good games, but you guys can check those out if you're interested in those. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually sounds pretty cool, to be honest with you, because 4-player cabinets, like full-size arcade cabinets, Tim, they take up a lot of room.
Right.
So, I mean, if you have a nice smaller one here, I think this would be great for kids. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, Tim, I was really reaching up to get those controls on the arcade one.
Mm-hmm.
So, having the shorter one, I think would be great for your kids and get them into arcade one-up stuff and everything like that as well. Excuse me. So look out for those coming out in the fall as well. So we have the Star Wars, we have the Marvel Superheroes, then we have the Teenage Ninja Turtles guys.
So obviously they're doing good to keep producing more games.
This is wave 3 now,
Right.
so I mean the third wave. So they're obviously still putting them out. So we'll see what happens going forward. And Tim, speaking of at-home arcades, we found out some more information on the Legends Ultimate arcade machine from AtGames.
Okay.
And it's, this article says it fixes the biggest problem with modern arcade machines. Now, Tim, when we initially saw this, we thought it was more like an arcade 1-up.
Mm-hmm.
But after reading the article, it's more like a MAME machine.
Okay.
Okay, and that's the difference, guys. So, like, an arcade 1-up's kind of really inclusive. Everything's built on the board. It doesn't connect to the internet. You can't download more games to it. It is what it is.
Right.
But the Legends Ultimate is not. The Legends Ultimate can download games from the internet.
Okay.
Okay, so you can add more games to it. You can actually stream games from your PC and play them with the arcade controls.
Okay.
Through the BYOG, bring your own game. What do you call that feature? So
Nice.
you can actually have direct access. So like if you have Steam games that you want to play on it, you can do that. And you can also plug. It has USB ports on it and audio ports. Tim, you can plug some of the AtGames controllers into USB ports, and it'll let you play those games on the arcade, like download basically like a game pack in a way.
Nice.
So I mean, in a way, the Legends Ultimate is more like a MAME machine than it is like an arcade 1-up. An arcade 1-up's totally inclusive.
And what do these cost?
They're going to be a little bit pricier. We talked about it in the last episode, and I can't remember what it is. I think it was $5.99 for the smaller one, $7.99 for the one. If I remember, that's just a guess. You'll have to look it up. But Tim, I mean, this sounds, like I said, more like what you get, kind of like a MAME machine. That's
right.
They're trying to compete in a different market, I think. Even though their pricing is pretty comparable to arcade 1-up, like the higher end arcade 1-ups, it's really more of a fully featured cabinet that allows for downloading and streaming and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So almost like PC based hardware versus like just a little like microcontroller board kind of thing. So anyway, so if you're interested in having a MAME machine, or if you've looked at building one, the Legends Ultimate may be what you want to look for instead. Save you some time, some money, and things like that. So. And then, Tim, this was a really cool little thing that we saw here. And, Tim, I've known about this for a while, but just posted it on our Facebook page not too long ago. But Amazon Alexa device owners can enable the Arcade Party skill to make their room sound like an arcade. And, Tim, the Arcade Party skill is a skill you can add to your Alexa device that will play Andy Huffle's arcade ambiance. And if you guys know those audio files, it's basically audio files that make your room sound like an 80s arcade. So either from
cool.
81, 82,
I'll have to
83,
try
whatever
that.
year. So if you say Alexa open arcade party in the year, it'll
So my
play
Fire
the
Stick,
sounds.
it'll work on this?
It may. Yeah,
I'm
you may
gonna
have to
try it.
install the skill. I'm not for sure on Fire Sticks. But it should actually play the audio from whichever year that you pick. So if you want your room to sound like the arcade from 1984, you tell it arcade party 1984 and it'll do it.
Nice.
So pretty cool if you guys want to make your room sound like an arcade without having arcade games in it.
Very cool.
So there you go. But there's a link here, guys, and there's also a link in the show notes that you can check out as well. Tim, I think we're about to wrap it up here, but we do want to send out a quick reminder that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Please send your link to your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put in a plug-in for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Tim, we've had a lot of people do these. We had Delusional do this. We've had Paul, who's in the chat room with us tonight, has also submitted some videos. We love to promote other channels here, guys, because there's a lot of channels worth promoting. A lot of arcade channels worth promoting here on YouTube, so we want to help other content creators out. So if you have arcade-related videos on your channel and you'd like us to promote them, please send us the information. We'd be happy to do that for you. And then, Tim, let's talk about some contact information. We've got our general email address. That's questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show, Tim. We did a couple tonight that was the case. The one from Headless Horseman, the one from Gary. Both said they wanted them covered on the live show, so we did that for you guys. So hopefully you will watch tonight and get some great information from there. We also have our YouTube channel, which, Tim, I don't think we have to tell people where it's at because they're here. But if they need help finding it, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, and comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode. And, guys, we do want to remind you about our podcast as well that Eric and Rusty will hopefully get around to doing at some point. Now, Tim, just a reminder, we are doing we are posting the audio feed from the live show on the podcast feed. So if you guys are listening to this on the podcast feed, just know that sometime Eric and Rusty are going to get back to doing the podcast. I hope. So they're very busy opening their latest arcade location.
Yeah,
but please send them an email, podcast@arcaderepairtips.com, and tell them you missed the podcast. So that'd be a great thing to do. But you guys can subscribe to the podcast at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com or at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com if you want to subscribe on one of those pages. And then we have our social media feeds. We have facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Thank you, Mark and Louie, for the tremendous work that you guys do on those pages. Louie's in the chat room with us tonight. Give him a big hand, everybody. Yay. Louie, for moderating all of your comments and everything like that. So, but we want to also thank him for posting all sorts of great stuff on Facebook and Twitter for you guys to read. We love that stuff. So, Tim, that about does it for the regular show, but what do we have coming up next?
The after show.
The after show. Now, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, the audio version, Tim, you will not get the after show. You can only listen to it on YouTube. But if you'd like to listen to that, Tim, what are some of the things we'll be talking about?
Well, we're going to talk about some investments.
And how we lost money.
Yeah, how we lost money. I'm going to give some updates on my Gaddy's thing. We'll talk about some movies and things that we've seen, TV shows that we've been watching, maybe a little sports talk. Who knows what? Who knows what may come up in the chat room also.
That's exactly
correct. We'll still continue to answer questions.
That's right. So please stay tuned to the after show. If you guys are so inclined, we'll be covering all sorts of topics. And Tim, the only difference between the regular show and the after show is that no topics is off limits in the after show.
There you go.
So whereas with the main shows, we obviously try to limit our topics to actual arcade-related stuff.
Gotcha.
So if you want to hear us talk about or pontificate about some other topics, we can do that with you in the after show. So stay tuned. We'll start shortly after the show's over. But we want to thank all of you guys for joining us tonight. We always love having you all here. Tim, is there anything you want to say before we sign off for the main show?
Happy birthday, USA.
Happy birthday, USA. 1776, Tim. That's a long time ago. Very long time ago. Just saying.
Before I was around.
Yeah, me too. Before arcades were around. Can you believe that? So,
well, I think they had pinball.
Oh, that's true. Probably pinball. But arcades, as we think of, arcade games as we think of them, obviously, video arcade games, not around then. So, but anyway, we do want to wish America a very nice happy birthday. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. You guys go out there, have some fun with family. Maybe invite them over to play some games. And we'll see you next month for the August show, Tim. Golly, it seems like the year's going by really fast. August.
Always buy fireworks from the guy with an eye patch and 3 fingers missing.
Oh, that's great advice right there. So make sure you get your fireworks from the best, Tim. Now, you know, they're illegal to shoot off in a lot of areas. But, Tim, we're getting into an after show topic. But anyway, we're going to leave you right now. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game, you play the game. And we'll be right back with the after show. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here, and take care. And we're back. This is the after show.
All right.
How was that? Episode 29 was good?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun.
So, let's see what we have here. JR's Vintage Toys and More. So, you guys excited for the release of Season 3 of Stranger Things on Netflix tomorrow? I can't wait myself.
Oh, yeah.
So, here's the deal. Haven't watched it at all.
You never watched any of it?
Any of it.
Oh, Jonathan.
I know. I need to watch it. Totally.
I might have to unfin you on Facebook until you get caught up.
Hey, I let you borrow Doctor Strange last month.
I haven't watched it
yet. Don't
That's
get on
true.
to me. So, yeah, but look, I know Stranger Things is like right in my wheelhouse, but I kind of feel like I want to wait until the whole thing's done so I can just binge it all.
Well,
so.
I haven't watched all the Karate Kid 2 season 2 yet.
Oh, you haven't seen all of Cobra Kai season 2?
Season 2. So
okay, Cobra Kai season 2. You need to watch.
I started watching that, but yeah, isn't that funny that it is one of those things that sometimes you just kind of like Game of Thrones. I just
right now, same thing. Game of Thrones, just no. So sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, Stranger Things is right in my wheelhouse. I'll watch it at some point. I know you're excited.
You'll like it. So. I'm definitely gonna be binge watching tomorrow after fireworks or after food.
Danny says, love
That's
the show.
That's going to be my fireworks.
Danny says, love the show. Always enjoy learning new things. Been helpful and been here for every episode.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
Way to go,
round
Danny.
of applause right there. Thank you, Danny, for being here with us. Let's see. Have you seen the new Spider-Man yet? He also says, no.
No.
Really want to see Far From Home.
I haven't seen it.
Far From Home. So it came out on Tuesday. Had the biggest opening for a Tuesday opening ever.
Wow.
So, but Tuesday, right?
I need to get some Spider-Man toys.
There you go, yeah. So, but I've heard good things, so looking forward to watching it. So, let's see. Okay. I will wait for the Blu-ray. That's what Delusional says. Yeah. So, on Stranger Things. Understood. So, I think I talked about this last month. I've downgraded my Netflix subscription to basic. I get one stream now, and it's 480p, but I'm super happy with that. Haven't any problems with it, so... Netflix is just not doing it for me like it used to.
Right.
And especially with more subscriptions coming around the pike, Netflix may have to go at some point.
Wow.
But anyway, let's see. Have you had a chance to see Godzilla? This is from Text JYT. I'll say I really enjoyed it. Have you guys seen it? So did you see the new Godzilla? I have not. Seen it. Yeah, I saw the previews for it. And,
it's kind of like one of those movies that, especially when you're married, it's like, I can probably get her to go see Spider-Man. I don't know if she'll go see Godzilla. She's probably just like, eh.
Right.
Now, if I'm watching it, she'll probably join me and watch it with me at home. But getting her to go to the movies on that one would be a little tough.
Agreed. And same way here. And, I'm not a huge Godzilla fan. I've seen some of them. But, it's not, I'm not like a huge fan of the franchise. So I'm going to have to wait till it comes out. Like I don't know if it's out on digital or not, or I might have to wait for like a Blu-ray release on that, what I'm saying, before I really get into it. But let's see. Delusional says, I love Netflix, but I did get rid of Hulu. So I'm on the pay for Spotify, get Hulu free plan.
Okay.
Because I love Spotify. Spotify is the bomb. I feel like Hulu's just a bonus.
Right.
Because they're basically, it's $10 a month for Spotify. It's $10 a month for Spotify and Hulu. So,
well, my daughter pays for Hulu, and we pay for Netflix, and when we share her account, she gets hers. So, you know how that works. So.
Yeah, so, but if you're a Spotify person, you can get the dual bundle that'll have Spotify and Hulu for $10 for basically the price of what a premium subscription already costs. Spotify is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Spotify.
But do you find yourself now, it's like The Handmaid's Tale came out, which I talked about before, how I really enjoyed watching it.
Yes.
Haven't watched it yet. It's kind of like... You ever find yourself, if the show would start the next week, the season come out, you'd be all over it. Right. But after a month or two, you kind of forget and you can move on to something else, and that's kind of weird how it works, that show.
Which is why I wait and then binge them. Right. I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's kind of what
right.
Probably what I'll be doing, binging.
Yeah. So Netflix is fine, and but I don't think Netflix has as much content as it used to as far as stuff I like. I did watch Jessica Jones. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's get past. We'll get to movie talk. I like to say that till the end, just because that's the most interesting to me. Tim, let's talk about some investment talk. So obviously you've been investing our $10. Last time you told us it had grown because it's been invested in Kron, right? I'm going to check it
today, right?
So.
And it's been up and down lately, but the market I think had a close today.
It closed early today.
But it was the highest ever or something. It was really high. Like the market has been doing better. We still got a lot of uncertainty with China.
Are there any arcade-related music channels on Spotify? Not that I know of, but Spotify has everything I've ever wanted to listen to. So I like Spotify. I love the new release mixes on Spotify. And here's the deal. Tim's talked about their AI people being really good at Spotify. Like the company that does their AI is always high on the stock market. Spotify's AI is fantastic at matching you with songs.
Right.
Better than Netflix at matching you with shows or
Okay.
TV. I mean, it is that good. So like, when you're listening to Spotify, if you have a playlist and it stops, it doesn't stop. It keeps playing. And what it'll do is it'll play related songs. And guess what? You'll like those related songs.
Okay.
It is the craziest thing. So
I'll
that's the thing.
challenge that one because I have some really wide
So,
ranges.
well, me too. I listen to everything from reggae
Right.
to hard rock to headbanging
Right.
to rap.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm all over the place. But somehow they put together a playlist for every genre that you listen to. And then it knows the kind of stuff you'll like based on what you listen to.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Like Facebook marketing. Like,
Yeah.
how'd you know?
Exactly.
I talked about that 2 weeks ago. It's kind of getting scary.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It may be even better than Facebook marketing.
Okay.
Just saying. So Spotify does a fantastic job of matching you with songs. But anyway, so Tim, how's our $10?
It's at $15. You remember we had a high of about $23.
Yes.
And we had a low of about $8. We're about $15, which is kind of in the middle. It's definitely, which is a good return on $10.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 50%
50%
return. So we take that all day long, but it was at about $23. So we're just kind of holding and seeing what's going to happen.
There you go. So let us tell you a story about PTN.
Right.
So for you guys who don't know, Peloton Technologies is a pharmaceutical company that
Right.
developed something that's been marketed as a female Viagra.
Right.
So, but it's not quite the same.
Okay.
Not quite the same, right?
Right.
So I gave Tim a tip.
Right.
Because I had been given a tip that more than likely they were going to get FDA approval on this drug.
Right.
Okay, and I got that tip on Thursday, right?
Right,
And
this was
the
Thursday.
Friday before it was about to do it. And sure enough, so we bought in pretty cheap.
Right.
It got the approval late Friday afternoon and more than doubled.
Yeah, we could have more than doubled our money.
But we're all thinking what?
It's going
It's
to
going to go up. It's going
Right.
to triple or quadruple. Well, me and Tim, like dumb investors, decided to hold on to it and not cut bait,
Right.
and take our
We
winnings.
we knew a lot of people would,
We pushed all in,
and it would come. We
were waiting for the 3 to 4 times earnings, right?
Right.
That's what we are. We were waiting to double, triple, or quadruple our money.
Right.
Well, sure enough, Monday morning, what does it do?
Right.
Tanks.
Tanks. Yeah.
Tanks. So instead of I could have made double my money. Instead of that, I lost $10.
Right.
So
in the investment terms, we want to talk about. We would say that it's oversold.
Right.
It's sold, but that can be a good thing to either buy more and wait it out. But one thing, they received $60 million. So I'm waiting for their earnings to come out, because anytime you get $60 million on a small company,
your earnings
are going to go up. When it does, I think it'll go back up. But boy, we did we knew people that were putting money enough down to put a down payment on a house or
buy a
house or a car, that were putting a lot on it. So we're glad we weren't that heavily invested, but that did teach us a lesson that sometimes a sure thing's not always a sure thing.
Exactly, and that's what you always have to remember, guys. There's a risk involved every time. I knew that.
Right.
I knew that.
Sure I did.
Which is why we let it ride.
Right.
Okay, I lost $10. It was
Right.
worth the letting it ride to me for that, because I knew the risk. I could have gained double my money if I would have sold Friday afternoon like a smart
Right.
investor would have. But
I think I just barely broke even.
right. So I lost money, you broke even. But it just goes to show you, just because you buy at the right time doesn't mean you necessarily sell at the right
Right.
time. And so we bought at the right time.
Right.
But we did
didn't
not sell at the right time. So
Well, we could have.
there's a certain thing. And you mentioned selling, like earnings. Selling either before earnings or after earnings is a good time, because
yeah.
if you don't think they're going to reach their target, you need to
Right.
sell before earnings,
Because
which is
it'll
what I did with
crash.
WWE.
Right.
Is that I sold before earnings and ended up cashing out higher than I would have after. Or if you think they're going to have a great earnings report like PTN May, then
Right.
hold through the earnings, and once the earnings hit, they'll get a little bit of a bump. And
Or a great day to buy after you see everybody sell off.
Right.
It's a good time to buy.
Right.
We could have waited and bought later.
Correct.
Too, but cheaper than what we got in. But we're things you learn. So
Exactly.
be careful with the stock market. No,
So
always listen to our
PTN,
advice.
which PTM is not the distributor; they're the manufacturer, right?
Right.
The distributor also went up. AMAG, is that what it was?
Yes, AMAG.
So
They've been doing better.
Right. They also went down. Same thing kind of happened to them, but they're doing better. But we were thinking with all the press that it was getting, it would do really well. But it came out that there were several articles that came out on Monday too, kind of downplaying the drug and the effectiveness, which I think also played into it.
I think so.
So there you go. You live, you learn, you lose money sometimes.
If it works, they'll be coming back. It's always a time. You know, one thing about a train, you can always hop on and hop back off.
Yeah.
Or hop off and hop back on. You know,
Right.
so always sell for anytime you sell at a profit. You're doing good, and you can always wait and catch back on it. Don't catch a falling knife though.
Yes, exactly. So, anyway, so learn from our experience, guys. Be careful with investment. Remember the risk. So there's always a risk, especially with stocks under $5.
Right.
Period. Stocks under $5.
Penny
Be
stocks
careful
are
with penny stocks.
very volatile.
Exactly. So, Delusional says, love your DK shirt. Thank you. I just picked it because it was red, white, and blue, and you know, we're going for a patriotic theme around here. And you see Tim's America shirt there. So here we go. Anyway, so Tim, let's move on here. You've got an upcoming trip. Tell us about it.
Yes, at the end of this month, less than 20 days away from tomorrow, I'm going to fly to Germany, and I will be there for a week. So I've never been. I went to the Bahamas one time 20 years ago. Outside of that, I've never been outside the continental United States. I've never been to Hawaii, never been to Alaska. I've never been to Europe, of course. So this will be quite a change. I've never been on a longer than a 3-hour plane ride. And so this is going to be a real chance for us to go and see. You might know we had a foreign exchange student stay at our house. We're going to go visit him. And so we do have friends there. We do have a place to stay. And we do have tour guides and stuff that will take us around and show us. So I feel very confident that we're going to have a good time and that it'll just be a good trip for us to do. And so having said that, we got listeners that are all over the world. And if anybody's in Germany, we're going to be in Cologne. I would love to meet or learn about some things to see. Any ideas that anybody that might have taken a trip there would know to see. I'm sure we'll hit most of the major touristy stuff, but I like those hole-in-the-wall places too. So
there you go. Well, I hope you have fun. I think I'm going to be on the beach while you're in Germany.
Okay.
So I'll be thinking about you on that plane ride. But it is a long plane ride. I mean, sleep. That's the best advice I can give you.
Today they got movies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You come watch. Maybe I'll get to catch
Take your
up
iPad
on.
or
I can catch next month. I'll be like, I saw 6
exactly.
movies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, and here's the thing: you can download them on your iPad on Netflix too. You know, do the smart downloading before you go. Download if you have or your Fire or whatever you have. Download the stuff before you go. That way it's already on there. So if you got Netflix, they've got.
What's going to be interesting is the cell phones. You know, and how that's going to work. I'm not quite sure.
Works fine. It's expensive.
Right.
So what we did was you can buy a Skype out plan that allows you to call out.
Okay.
Over Skype, so as long as you have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So what we do is like at the hotel, we'd sign up for Wi-Fi and then Skype out everywhere.
Well, that's what they said. FaceTime works.
Yeah, FaceTime. Right.
Anytime you're on Wi-Fi, so that's good. You know, text messaging a lot of times works. So
they may charge you
Mm-hmm.
a little bit for that, just depending. Make sure you have. You can also get the international plan, your AT&T.
Right.
There's an international roaming plan that you can get that will cut your charges a little bit. It's like a $20 fee, but the price per minute will be cheaper.
Right.
So you may turn that on.
If we have to make
an
emergency call, most of the time it'd be a good week to just put my phone down and visit with my friends too. But you never know.
Right. So, Tim, we teased that you're getting a food trailer. Do you want to give us any update on the All You Can Play? Obviously, we know that you're still doing that.
All You Can Play is going fantastic. In fact, 95% positive.
Wow.
In fact, most people love it. Groups are coming in now and purchasing it. I sold 13 to one family the other day.
So my question is, what's the breakdown of people who just pay and then All You Can Play? So, what's the percentage breakdown? How many people just pay outright and how many people...
I would say paying outright is still probably 75% or more.
So, it's 25 to 75?
Yeah, easily.
Okay.
Easily. Maybe only 10% are getting the All You Can Play. The deal is that I'm seeing large groups of people that will come in and do that. You think about it, the person at the counter, he's seeing all these people and then they don't come and he doesn't have to...
Right.
He's dealing with 2 or 3 guests. He sees this throng of people... that don't need points and they have a good time. Most of them have really enjoyed And in the feedback I've gotten, do you feel like it was worth it? And because they get pizza and a drink too, most people are like, yeah, it's way worth it. Kids had a great time. It hits that certain person, not everybody, but it hits that certain kid that really doesn't care about a bunch of cheap toys or something, off the wall. He just wants to play video games. Go there. You can play games like Ninja Turtles till you get to the end.
Right.
Or Halo, you get way into the game. Stuff like that.
In my case, Connect 4 basketballs, me
right.
I want.
Connect 4, or some people just like to play skee ball just to get a score,
right.
and sharpen their skee ball skills, or to keep playing air hockey. So I think overall, I would say that it has been very successful. In fact, I'll say this, especially here in the after show, one of my competitors, Grand Slam, one of their managers came in and booked a party with me and wants to do the all you can play. And, and he's like, is it okay? I work for another arcade. And I said, no, of course, we don't.
I don't care who you work for.
I don't care, right? But at the same time, why do they not? And he said, even with my employee discount, you guys, still a great deal.
Yeah.
So, obviously, he thought it was a good enough deal to have his kids.
Well, your competitor has a plan like that, but it doesn't include games at all.
Exactly.
Right? And and so if you want to play games,
his kids wanted to play the games.
Right. Your deal is better than their deal.
According to him. So, it was like, that made me feel good because, this was my project that I thought of, and we even talked about in the group what to do. So, I do think we will try to experiment with some different options on that still sometime, because I thought this would go through the end of the summer. Maybe once summer starts, we say it's now 25 plus 500 tickets like we talked about before.
Sure. That
would be easy to do, and maybe something that would be, or the same price plus 500 tickets or something. I think that would be feel fun to do too. So
sure. So 25% is not a bad percentage for people taking advantage of that.
No, it's cut my merchandise cost way down.
So like when people come in, does the person at the checkout offer that to them every time?
I have a sign right at the cashier that tells about it. Normally, if it's just a man and wife, you can kind of tell who's gamers, who's not. If they have kids, most of the time they will suggest, well, if you're going to play games, you might want to look at this.
Gotcha.
And that does help.
Sounds good. Now let's get into the food truck, because you teased that. So you guys got a food truck for your Mr. Gaddy's location.
We did buy a trailer that you pull behind, kind of
a food trailer.
A food trailer that, so you do have to have a truck to pull it. It's about 20, kind of like a camper, about 26 feet long. You see it's got the sides. It's got a real full-size oven inside of it. That's a conveyor oven, much like ours. We feel like we could probably cook 100 pizzas an hour or something like that in it. Has a big warmer where we can keep them there. This is where we're going to go and sell by the slice. So you get like 2 slices of pizza and a drink for like $5 or something. Sure. And we won't sell a lot of different kinds of pizzas. We'll also go into these smaller towns and offer pizza pickup, like a large for $7 or $8 or $10 or whatever. And just limited toppings, but at the same time we'll introduce them to our pizza, and we'll see how that goes. But there's already been several venues and places and things that we're already looking at. I think it'll be definitely running soon, in about 2 weeks, and I'll have some pictures probably on the next live show, because right now it's at the kind of was orange color and yellow, and we're having it what they call wrapped, with the vinyl that they pull it, and it looks like a paint job and has our logos. Also tells like follow us here and how to get to our store and our website, and follow us on Facebook and stuff like that on there.
Awesome. Now we got to rig up some games in that thing
exactly.
too.
That's one thing I did ask my boss about, and he was very excited. He was like, "Could you really do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we probably really could." So that may be something future we do, like when we're at Canton or whatever. We may have a built-in TV or something that we can put up where kids could sit there and play some games.
It'd be cool if you could just put like 2 of the like basketball games and make them coin operated back on the back of the trailer or something like that. Just to have something coin operated there, and then people can, while they're waiting for their food, they can play.
I definitely think that's in the realm of possibilities.
There we go.
And on my agenda.
So there we go. Sounds exciting, Tim. We want to see the pictures on the next live show. So make sure you get them to me so we can do the outline.
If anybody has any experience with food trailers and what maybe even horror stories or whatever, this would be kind of fun. I do know that it's not air conditioned.
Ooh.
So
you can put like a window unit.
Yeah, we'll put. Well, you got to have the power to run it, and it runs off a generator, but mostly it runs off of propane. So
gotcha.
We will. That would be tricky.
With a
not
pizza
impossible.
oven in there in the summertime, you gotta have
really
something.
hot. Yeah, we'll have to have. There's those mini portable ones and stuff. We'll come up with something, but it definitely will be a little warm in there. I do.
Yeah, because otherwise, 8 months out of the year, you're gonna be
right.
You're gonna be
especially in Texas. It's gonna be warm here to December.
That's right. So, okay, before we move on, Tim, we got a couple of things here.
Okay.
Danny, what do you think about LED lighted buttons for arcade? I think it's a distraction and tacky. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but I'm not a big fan of them.
Right. Well, it's kind of like when you put it on Galaga or something, I don't think it looks as good. And now if it's your personal main machine
right,
that you've kind of done a lot of work on and stuff, it's kind of like that. You know, it's like if it's a dedicated game, I don't like to take away. I like the lighted trackball.
Yeah.
I think they look okay. But, yeah, you know, we put a lighted trackball on a Centipede game. I thought it looked really good when we got done with it. So I'm kind of on the fence, depending on the game and depending on the situation and what it is.
Yeah. So definitely. So I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I don't like it on all games, but some games.
But most of them they do feel kind of cheap too. Yeah. So it's not it doesn't feel like a good quality button. I wish they would come up with a better quality LED button.
Absolutely. Headless Horseman says, "Hey guys, almost missed the stream. Let's see. I can't read that. He's in somewhere on vacation. It looks like Virginia. He's in Virginia on vacation. So there you go. There you go. Enjoy your vacation." Yeah. I mean, you can
watch it on the replay.
I was about to say, you can always watch it on the replay. It's nice being here live, though, because you can interact with us. I can't interact with you on a replay. Right. That'd be pretty cool, though, tech. You know, you have to do like some AI stuff or anything. Louis just posted a deal on a 19-inch Suzo hat monitor for $215. Guys, 19-inch LCDs are getting so cheap now. I mean, they're $200. You know, and that's for the good quality ones. You can buy the off-brand ones for even cheaper than that.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to go LCD route, I totally understand it because they're cheap enough now. And I know it's not the same as a CRT, but the price is right, for sure, if you want to do that. So, okay, Tim, Independence Day plans. Go.
Well, I'm off tomorrow, which was a blessing. We
awesome.
are going to...
And off today.
Yeah, and we're going to close the restaurant about an hour early, and the kitchen an hour and a half early. So I'm going to try to get most of my employees out because, you know, it doesn't get dark here in Texas till about 9 o'clock. So right. Most fireworks are after that. So if I feel like I can get everybody out by 8:30, that'll help. I'm just going to be spending some time with family. I told you we're having kind of a barbecue, bring your own meat. You know, we're taking some steaks. I know my nephews just want some hot dogs. Maybe somebody wants some hamburgers. Somebody's bringing some ribs. It's just going to be kind of a big festival with all these different meats and stuff. And then everybody's bringing sides and stuff. So we're just having a family get together. Maybe swim if the weather permits. We're trying to watch it. We've had a ton of rain this year.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it'll just be either real sporadic or we'll have some bursts of sun where we can enjoy the pool and just relax. What about you?
I was about to say, it wouldn't be 4th of July in Texas unless you had a dead animal on the grill. I'm just saying, you got to have that. So for us, kind of the same thing. I got family in, which is why I'm getting the game room cleaned up. I got family in for my dad's side, and they're all over at their house tonight, my parents' house. And so if you're watching this, hey, you guys. But probably not. So, but I've got a lot of family and stuff in. So they're going to hopefully come over here maybe tomorrow, play some games. So we'll see. But we're also going to grill out just like everybody. So steak and hamburgers are pretty much what we're having.
Okay.
So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go see fireworks tomorrow night. We'll hang out at...
Where are y'all going to see fireworks?
One of the church members at our church, they have a lake behind their house. They have a little island.
Oh, okay.
And they shoot them off from that little island. Everybody pitches in some money, and we all buy fireworks.
Nice.
Or they buy the fireworks, and then we just, watch all of them go off.
So many different fireworks shows here, and good ones too.
Oh, yeah.
So just about no matter where you live, you just kind of look around. Our neighborhood actually does a pretty good one, you know.
People shoot them off all over the place. Where Tim lives, I live in city limits, so we can't shoot off fireworks here. But where Tim lives and where we go to church is pretty wide open for fireworks. You can shoot them off anywhere in there. So, we have to go out there if we want to see fireworks. So it should be fun. Have a good time. What are you guys doing for Independence Day, for 4th of July? If you guys have some big plans, let us know. So maybe you're going to an arcade. I don't know. So
I do know that we are at Mr. Gaddy's. We are going to feed veterans. We're going to send a bunch of people over to the veterans home and feed some of our veterans. You know, we don't want to think that just because we're out celebrating, popping fireworks, eating with our family, there's a reason that we're free to do that. And so we are going to donate some pizzas tomorrow and take care of those guys and make sure they're fed.
You know, life lesson, Tim, nothing in life is free, including
right.
freedom. Freedom
Right.
is not free either. So, you know, the veterans obviously paid the price for all of us so we could live in freedom. We want to thank all the veterans out there for their service to the country, obviously. So,
For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. We don't, like I said, our barbecue is because somebody paid the price or even their life so that we had that right or that freedom to do that. So thank you. If you're a veteran and you're watching this, like I said, it's not just another holiday. We do thank you for even our forefathers and the people that died so that we could have a free country and stuff.
Absolutely. So Louis says he's going to the beach. Of course, he lives at the beach, so
Right.
you know it makes sense to him.
Long walk, huh?
You know, I don't know if I've talked about this, but my
beautiful.
retirement plan is the beach. Louis, I'm thinking where you live, maybe.
I've
my
seen
long term retirement plan is beach.
I've seen
So-
myself, Jonathan, at the beach. Maybe we'll just buy some property near each other, and we'll just we'll still do the live show from the beach or something. You know,
We're gonna be doing it. You're gonna be 80. I'm gonna be 70. And we're not gonna have any
episode
teeth.
8,000 or
Yeah, that's
something.
right. So, but no, Tim, and I'm hooked on a show. I'll talk about this real quick. Oh, actually, we're not to TV yet. I'll
Okay.
talk about a show here in a bit. Sports talk.
All right.
So, Tim,
I know you
obviously-
got to be pretty excited because our team, the Rangers, has been playing some pretty good ball for us. I mean,
Yes.
we're not just beating everybody, but we're in contention.
So yesterday I was running some errands, had my
Right.
Ranger cap on, had my Ranger shirt on. 3 different people commented about the Rangers. And I was
Right.
like, you know, I'm like, yeah, we're doing pretty good. They're like, yeah, we're actually good. You know,
Right,
like
yeah.
they're actually
People
realizing
are
this.
starting to watch.
Right. Now, we've lost our last 3 games, and many of you guys may know that the game yesterday was postponed because
Right.
a starting pitcher for the Angels died, which was just crazy.
Yeah,
I
and
mean-
while he was here in Dallas,
Yes,
right?
correct. He was
So
at the
they-
hotel, and they found him in his hotel room. He was just there.
And I thought that was pretty classy, though, to just cancel the game
Right.
and let everybody mourn. And even the Texas Rangers were really sympathetic to that. Yeah, I hope it was no foul play or anything major.
They're saying
but
no
probably,
evidence of foul play,
Okay.
no evidence of suicide.
Okay.
So I mean,
That
but it
makes
could have
me-
been a brain aneurysm
Right.
or you know something sudden like that. 27 years old.
That's crazy.
So
So
but
condolences to his friends
had a
and
wife.
family.
they had only been married a year, I think.
Wow.
So just
Yeah, very sad.
yeah, a lot of prayers for the Angels.
You know, and I think
his family.
that's indicative of baseball, Jonathan. Did you see Albert Pujols go to St. Louis
Yes,
and he hits a home run
yes,
and they go crazy?
yes.
And I'm like, that says a lot about baseball fans.
Right.
Because you can be a fan and love your team and just be a fan of the game.
Sure.
And I think that's you, Jonathan. You love the game. Kind of like when we saw Derek Jeter's last game in Texas. We wanted to see the Rangers, but we really wanted to see Derek Jeter play one more time.
Sure.
And so every time he would come up, it would get these standing ovations and stuff. And I thought, you just don't get that in a lot of sports. Well, one thing, because it's, like football is more team and stuff. But, baseball is kind of unique that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was, so I think that's
history.
pretty cool. So the other day when I saw that, I thought that's really sad, but you saw the whole baseball people kind of mourn together. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's
Absolutely.
something that not every sport has.
Yeah. So I mean,
Definitely not
I think
basketball.
the thing that distinguishes baseball is the history of the game. I mean, it's been around 100. The Major League Baseball has been around 150 years. Baseball has been played for over 200 years.
Oh.
So I mean, it's how long. I think the history has a lot to do with the way people treat it because they know. It's like we know kind of what's important because it's been played for so long. I guess if that
Right.
makes sense. But it's kind of like I think it's cool because when a team like in the St. Louis case, even though Albert Pujols was from the Angels now. They still recognize the accomplishments he had when he was a Cardinal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It
So
wasn't
it's
like LeBron and we're going to boo you
Right.
because you switch teams. They understand the nature of the business. But in the same reflect, you got basketball. You got Kevin Durant gets hurt and they're cheering.
right.
And see, I just don't see that in baseball.
Sure.
A good player gets hurt. The stand, even in football, most of the time, most people are more respectful than that. And it just kind of, when I saw that, and we're kind of off topic, but we're in the after show, so it's okay.
Doesn't matter.
But when I saw that, it's kind of how I felt about basketball lately. It's like it has become so me sport, and kind of like watching the Rockets and just James Harden shooting at 80% of the time.
Sure.
To the fact that I don't even really care much about it anymore. And I used to love basketball. So to me, baseball has kind of taken over because I just enjoy going to the ballpark, being around the fans, having a good time. So anyway, one thing I was thinking about when he died was how different that was compared. And I'm sure any sport, everybody would be a little sad and wouldn't be like that. But just how things are better,
right,
in that way.
I do want to make sure that I'm pretty sure it's Tyler Skaggs, but I wanted to double check to make sure that was the case. Tyler Skaggs was the name of the pitcher.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure. I knew it, but it's like sometimes you just want to make sure before you say it out loud that that's the case. So Tyler Skaggs was the one who died for the Angels starting pitcher. He pitched on Saturday.
Wow.
I mean, and he's scheduled to pitch against us.
Wow. Yeah.
And so just lots of, like I said, lots of love for his family and what they're going through right now. I know it must be difficult.
So, All-Star game coming up. Who do we have? Any Rangers that we got
3.
Some deserving? We got definitely a pitcher that's
Hunter
good.
Pence, but
Right.
he's not going to play because he's injured.
Okay.
Joey Gallo, but he's not going to play because he's injured.
Wow.
And then Mike Minor, but he's not going to play because he pitched yesterday.
Wow.
So we do have 3 Rangers that are represented in the All-Star game. So good for them. Mike Minor deserves it. Mike Minor's the best pitcher in the American League. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
he is very good.
He's going lights out this year.
So he's very good. And Lance Lynn has not been bad either. But he did not get an All-Star nod. Joey Gallo, even though he's been injured as of recently, has performed way better than expectations this season.
It's not just home runs.
Not just home runs. And Hunter Pence came out of nowhere.
Right.
Because he was picked up as like a AAA guy.
That's what I'm like.
Hey,
guy?
we'll throw a flyer out on Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence has played forever. He's like my age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's played forever, but who would have thought that he'd have a resurgence going in at the age that he's currently at.
Right.
And he has. And he deserves to be the starting DH. There's probably guys who are a little bit more deserving, but just his story is so much better that I think it makes a difference. And so congratulations to all the Rangers who made that All-Star game. Tex JYT also said he's U.S. Navy veteran.
Oh,
thank you for your service. I did want to mention that. And Louis also said thank you for your service as well. So we want to remember that.
So NBA free agency.
I just put that on there.
Well, definitely some teams have gotten changed up, right?
Yes, I think so.
Do you think the Golden State War era is over?
Possibly. Not saying. I mean,
it's hard. They're going to be
as a Mavericks fan, I'm very excited.
Right.
Because we got Luka, we got Porzingis, and we're probably going to pick up maybe 1 or 2 others that I'm looking forward to in free agency. So as a Mavericks fan, I'm very excited. But, I think it's just like the attention that free agency is getting for the NBA, that's the main thing. It's crazy. It's getting more attention than the baseball stuff right now. But it's like everybody wants to know where everybody's going and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. There was there's been news feeds just following players around. what are they gonna decide and all this kind of stuff. It's just crazy to me. And like you said, I'm kind of down on basketball. I'm not as big into it as I used to be. I loved basketball when I was a kid. And, to me, like you said, it's gotten less about team and more about individual accomplishments, which I'm not happy about. But I still follow it. I'm a big Mavericks fan. I still watch the Mavericks. But I think that I think that it has changed to more of an individual game, and you see that in the free agency because these names become so big that when they move to a team, it makes a huge difference.
Right.
But anyway, so any thoughts about any of the moves that have happened so far? Or have you been keeping up with anything? Or
no, just the fact that, like I said, I'm so burnt on it, but I'm sure that the Celtics look like they're going to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I was excited at the Mavericks, and I think they're going to have a great season next year.
I think we will too. I'm excited. But anyway, okay. To current movie and TV show talk. Before we start, I was going to say what I'm going to say. I'm watching a show that if you're from Texas, you should watch. It's called Big Texas Fix.
Okay.
And it's about a husband and a wife that fix up old houses in Galveston.
Okay.
But they rebuild them from scratch. They don't tear them down. They rip them down to the studs.
Okay.
And rebuild them. Sometimes they actually redo the foundation of the house.
Wow.
But they don't tear. They try to keep as much of the house as possible. And a lot of these houses are from the 1800s because Galveston's a very old city in Texas because it was a port city here.
Right.
And so there are houses from the 1800s. Tim, you should see the things that they do to these houses. I mean, it's easier to build a house than it is for them to go in and restore the house.
Right.
I mean, this would be like us taking like old, like I said, like old arcade games that are totally like trashed out and making them new, except they're doing this with houses.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? They are taking a house that is condemned, like going to fall in on itself, and they make it new.
Wow.
It's on DIY though. And the problem is that like only 5 people who are watching this get DIY.
Right.
Okay, but you can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
You can buy the episodes on Amazon. Big Texas Fix. But if you want to see people do like full-on restorations of 100-year-old houses, this is the show for you.
Wow.
So Big Texas Fix. And I like it because I've been to Galveston, and some of the houses they've redone I've actually seen in person.
Awesome.
And I know the kind of work that they're putting into it. Tim,
it's amazing.
Crazy.
Okay.
Crazy. Like who puts a new foundation under a house?
Right.
Like who lifts up a house and puts a new foundation under it? Like who does that? These people.
I guess they do.
Exactly. So it's really cool. If you're interested in that stuff, check it out. Anyway, Tim, what do you got? I got some other ones, but I'll let you go.
Well, the only movie that I went to see is only because we've seen all the others is Annabelle, and and of course it wasn't as scary. It just had a lot of those jump out moments, that make you, jump. But of course, if you've seen the other episodes, what gets me is every time, Annabelle is loosely based on a true story,
right?
And it's kind of interesting to me. This particular Annabelle goes back to the little girl and being raised in that environment and around this doll that's in her basement and all this stuff. In real life, her parents didn't get into this until she was grown, so she really didn't have that kind of childhood. It wasn't that bad.
Right.
But she does...
Makes for a better story.
Yeah, makes for a better story, but she does still house, and now her husband runs the museum that has the doll and the other things in it. So if you like that kind of stuff, and like I said, I'm not a big horror film person. I don't mind a little scary and a little suspense. The fact that it's based on a true story is what kind of teased me. So we liked it. It was a good movie watch. We have also I watched a show called Exhibit A, and we talked a little bit about this before the show started. She was just different, and everybody that's listening right now knows I like the crime shows.
True crime.
I should have been something like a true crime. I should have been a forensic pathologist.
I like to watch the true crime too. It's interesting.
Yeah, I should have been forensics or something.
CSI.
Exhibit A is basically, when you're in a courtroom, they say we have Exhibit A. Well, that's the main one, right? The thing that's going to bring this person down. You're going to bring out that big gun, and they're showing how that one is a video. And it looks like the guy comes in, looks like him, they arrest him, he's in jail today still. And they go back and show how a video can be wrong. A video is not running continuously, it's actually thousands of pictures.
Right.
In other words, if you show a video of somebody shooting a gun, you can actually shoot it 4 or 5 times, but on the video it'll only show 2.
Sure.
Because it's not that fast.
Right.
And so there's some things that it really goes through in blood and different things where they said this person was guilty, and you kind of think, oh yeah, they're guilty. Then you see that that's not always the way it seems, or really makes you question as a juror. Does that make you question that? So, and of course, I've been watching now. I think it's going on my 2nd month at least as Designated Survivor.
So
I'm in season 3.
Oh, okay. So you've gotten to the point where they found out who it was and the show got boring.
Yes.
Okay. Did that happen? Was I right?
Yeah, it did it just kind of went.
It kind of like went off the rails for a while.
Yeah, it went off the rails, but I could kind of see that happening in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like you catch Bin Laden, and then all of a sudden, then what?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, why did they reveal that so soon, though? I feel like they should have held that out. And, but what it becomes less about the Designated Survivor and more about what if a normal man became president. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think that's...
Now, season 3. I obviously haven't seen season 3.
You know what? Season 3 is all about this election. So,
oh, gotcha.
So that makes sense now. All of a sudden, does he run as a true candidate?
Right.
And if he does, and who's going to run against him? And what's his platform going to be? And he's an independent.
Right.
So it's like, how do you swing voters and stuff? And of course, in true style, he tries to be honest and he tries to all the stuff that probably you realize. It makes me realize some of it I think is so true to life that sometimes they really have to make, they're like, do you run this smear campaign? It's really going to help you. Do you really want to be president? They've really put a lot of screws and pressures on him. And so that all kind of plays out in season 3. It gets pretty good again.
So it would be really hard for somebody to run as an independent. And the reason why is because without the party behind you, getting financial assistance is very difficult.
Yeah, and this show presents that neither party would work with him.
Right. And so if the parties don't work with you, like if you're running an election, it's really hard to get money if you're an independent.
Right.
Because like I said, the party is kind of like, the party will help you.
Right.
And that's the thing. They help you get donors. They help you get money.
It's showing TV ads and stuff that he just can't afford.
Right, exactly.
And you think, here's a guy that's got money. Well, he really doesn't. No. It's like he can't afford it. And so that's one of the twists is how do you get your message out? Well, some of it's free because you're
when you're the president.
Debates.
Exactly. When you're the president,
that's what you have to use.
Right.
And social media and things like that. He kind of becomes the
grassroots.
I'm your guy. You don't have to be Republican or Democrat. Just be a man that votes for me. In other words, Congress doesn't vote, you vote.
Right.
And so
I
you
love
vote
Kiefer
your Congress.
Sutherland. Should I just
He
mention
plays that.
Oh, I love him.
He nails that part.
He's awesome.
So good. Yeah. So good.
I still want to see him as Jack Bauer again. 24 fan.
I tell you what, though, there are a couple of scenes when he is speaking, you just almost catch yourself tearing up. It's so passionate, and you're like, you forget, wow, this is a TV show. He's really not the president.
His voice,
it's like he does such a good job.
His
and he's
voice
like,
too
it should
is
be.
so good, man.
And
awesome.
Here's something else, if you guys might not know about the show, and you may not know until this season. When they're interviewing people, they're like, what do you think about the president's policy on this or whatever? And they're doing these little news clips and they're showing, and he's listening to what people are saying. Those are real people and real questions.
Oh, wow.
They tell you that those are not actors, they're not paid, they're asking. And so some of the stuff they're tackling is actually real issues that we should be tackling.
Sure.
Like immigration and things and he presents kind of a Republican Democrat side. He's a true independent. In other words, I get your point, but let's also look at this way. This is not, we can't just not do this. And there's a couple good episodes where it really makes you think about our politics in general, but you really see how the scrutiny his family's under every day. He can't catch a break. Every time he starts to sit down and have a beer or something, then Mr. President, we need you in here, we need you in this, or is this situation, this, and your foreign policy and all this stuff, and you're thinking, man, it makes me, I never want to be president.
Nope. So it sounds, I might try to watch season 3. I didn't finish season 2. We got to where we got and we stopped. So I have to go back and finish.
You have to pick it back up because the election gets really interesting.
So you also watched season 2 of the Confession Tapes.
Yes.
So how was that?
I really liked that. That's just a good show.
About false confessions, basically.
Yeah,
people who confessed who didn't do the
How can you get that person to confess? And you think, I would never do it, never, no how, no way. And you just don't know till you're in that situation. Especially, It's never within an hour or two. It's always after 8 or 10 hours 12. Or 12 hours. Or, second day. It's just, some of it's just crazy. Makes me think I understand why. If you ever called in, first thing ought to be out of your mouth is, I want a lawyer. Bring them in here and we'll talk. I don't mind talking.
You can talk to my lawyer.
Right. I don't mind talking because they can really twist some stuff if they think that you're guilty. But what else? Did you go see any movies?
Let me say one more thing about Kiefer Sutherland.
Uh-huh.
If you ever doubt the power of his voice, watch Phone Booth.
Okay.
Have you seen Phone Booth? Yes. He's the bad guy.
Right.
You know that, right?
Right.
Man, just his voice sound, the way he makes his voice sound so creepy in that.
Right.
Like, I've been watching you. Kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. So, Kiefer Sutherland. Much love. But anyway, I watched Shazam. Another superhero movie. Do you know about Shazam?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, I grew up watching Shazam on Saturday mornings.
So I watched Shazam. And it was good.
Really?
It really was. I'm not a big fan of the DC movies typically because they tend to be a little darker than I like.
Right.
Wonder Woman was probably the exception to that. I liked Wonder Woman, but like Batman vs Superman was too dark for me. Mm-hmm. Superman, Man of Steel was too really kind of dark. I mean, Batman is the only character for me that fits because Batman is dark.
Right.
But like Superman's not really dark.
Right,
Like,
he's a
Wonder
nice
Woman's
guy.
not dark. But anyway, Shazam, it's dark, but it still has a lot of childlike
Comedy.
playfulness in it, right? And it works really well.
Okay.
So it's a really good watch. You know, I mean, right, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, I'd say. So, you know, if you like superhero movies, you should check it out. It's definitely
Yeah,
fun.
when it comes out, I'm gonna watch it.
It's already out. I mean, you can get it on digital, like,
Okay.
you know, so, but it's good stuff. I watched the Netflix movie that apparently like 40 billion of us watched or whatever it is,
Okay.
Murder Mystery
Murder
with
Mystery.
Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. And look, is it a good movie? No.
Right.
Was it entertaining? Yeah.
Okay.
And somebody had like the perfect phrase for this. They called it like what do they call it? Like a background movie.
Okay.
Like a movie you can do other things to and
Right.
keep in the background and be fine.
Right.
Like pick up the plot immediately.
Right.
So you don't have to sit there and just watch it. You can leave it on and then
Right.
go do something, come back, go do stuff, come back, do your laundry, come back, whatever.
And there's room for movies like that.
Right, exactly.
They don't all
Or
have to be
you
epic.
can be checking your cell phone, look up every so often.
Right.
And I mean, that is all of the Adam Sandler Netflix movies are like that. They're all these kind of like I said, like background movies, basically. Right. Like y'all watch in the background, you'll pick up the plot. It's easy. This one I do feel like may be one of the best, just because Jennifer Aniston's in it. And she does good.
Right.
I mean, she's a good actress. I mean,
Right.
there's just no getting around that. The plot is pretty poor though, and you can tell. I mean, they're acting, but you can tell that it's kind of half done. You know, I mean, like the way they're acting and everything, and it tries to be like a knockoff Clue type movie or something like that. It's okay.
Right.
So if you're looking for something to watch while you're folding clothes or or checking your cell phone, perfect movie. There you go. Go watch Murder
Not
Mystery. And if you have a
life-changing.
Netflix account, guess
Might
what?
as
You
well.
can watch it for free.
Right.
So, Tim, speaking of Netflix, I just finished up Jessica Jones season 3.
That looks good.
So here's the deal: is that this will be the last season of any of the Marvel stuff on Netflix because they
They're
canceled
losing
it
the
all.
rights. Okay.
Well, they're not losing it. Apparently, Netflix and Marvel decided to cancel them all. And Tim, I liked it. It was probably the weakest season of the show. So if you like the first 2 seasons, they're much stronger in my opinion.
I haven't seen any of them.
Okay, so if you haven't seen any of them, the first one's great, the second one is good, and this one's kind of okay. It's not bad, and if you like the characters, if you watch the first 2 and you're invested in the characters, you should watch the third. It's passable for sure, but it's not. You'll notice it's not as good as the last 2 in my opinion. But here's the deal: compared to other superhero shows, dark and gritty really fits Jessica Jones because that's who she is. She's a PI, and PIs are dark and gritty.
Right.
So the show is filmed in that dark and gritty style, and I love it. I love film noir, PI type stuff, and it's my wheelhouse. And so for me, it's a great show. It's not for everybody. So if you don't like PI stuff like that, then don't watch it. Okay. But it's basically PI with superheroes, so private investigators with superhero kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But third season was good. So I mean, if you're interested in that, watch all 3 seasons, and
I'm gonna
you'll
watch
have
it.
them. So, but let me talk about the biggest surprise by far.
I like surprise shows.
Yeah, all the stuff I watch. Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
So I got a trial of DC Universe, which is a streaming service that you can watch DC stuff on. So DC Comics stuff. So Doom Patrol is a TV show. It has Brendan Fraser in it, which you probably haven't heard that name since, I don't know, The Mummy.
Yeah.
What was the last thing Brendan Fraser was in? I can't remember.
Encino
He was like in
Man?
every
I don't know.
movie,
Yeah.
and now he's in no movie.
Right.
Kind of like Bradley Cooper.
Right.
Like, where'd Bradley Cooper go? Like, he
Right.
doesn't make movies anymore, does he?
Right.
It's like A Star is Born was his
Star is
last
Born,
one. That was
yeah.
like, what, last year?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while. So, but it's got, it's kind of like Brendan Fraser was everywhere,
I haven't
right?
seen him in a while.
Exactly. I haven't seen him in a while. He's in this, and he plays a main character, and he's in it in all the episodes. Okay. And then the actors that they got to play these parts are fantastic. Now, here's the deal. There's a lot of cussing in it. It's very weird. Okay, I'm warning you up front. Super weird. Okay. Very mature. Alan Tudyk, I think is how you say his name. He's the voice of King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay.
If you guys don't know who that is, he does a lot of character voices and
Wreck-It
stuff like
Ralph's
that.
on Netflix now, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
If you haven't seen
but
it.
Alan does a lot of like character voices and stuff. The best bad guy in a TV show ever.
Wow.
That's man. Like and here's the deal. What makes a good superhero TV show or a good superhero movie? The bad guy.
Right, sure.
If the bad
You gotta
guy is
hate him.
compelling, if you like to hate the bad guy, or if the bad guy is like funny and kind of comical, but he still gets his way, he's the best bad guy. And his character is Mr. Nobody. But man, what a good bad guy.
Okay.
And so, like, the heroes are anti-heroes, okay? They're heroes that have powers that are terrible, basically.
Okay.
They're kind of anti-heroes, but he is like he's the guy. Like, he's funny, and you watch because of him.
Okay.
Because the bad guy is he's just so delightfully
How's
evil.
the average person watch this?
You have to go to DC Universe and
DC
sign up for a
Universe.
trial or pay for the service.
Okay.
So. But it is worth paying for the service.
Wow.
I mean, and I wouldn't say that normally, but it is mature, so keep that in mind. But great actors, everything about it. I couldn't stop watching it.
Wow.
I mean, I watched straight through.
How many episodes do you
12.
think there are? 12.
I
Okay.
think there's 12. But you should, I mean, if you like I said, if you like the bad guy, if you like a good bad guy.
Okay.
You know, like, I think, great example of bad guys that you just love to hate, or like, I think Karate Kid, like, the Cobra Kai sensei,
Right.
the original.
Yeah, you kind of feel sorry for him, Johnny, but you're like...
Right, but that guy's a real jerk, and I hate that guy. You love to hate that guy, right?
Yeah.
This is a different kind of bad guy in the fact that he's funny and charming, but still has very evil intentions.
Right.
So you like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You like him because he's funny.
Yeah.
And because
almost
like,
switch teams. Or
right,
something.
exactly, right. And so, but he's evil. Like, he's bad, but still, man.
Right.
I wish I could go back. It's one of those shows I wish I could go back and watch the whole thing, like the whole first season again, without having seen it. Just so I could experience it.
Nice.
It's worth signing up for like a month. So sign up for like a month of DC Universe, or if you can get by in the free trial, just go through the free trial and then do away through DC Universe, and then wait till they do season 2 and pick it back up again.
Kind of like I did with Karate Kid.
Exactly. Exactly.
And YouTube Red.
Exactly. Same thing. So just like watch the show you want to
binge
watch,
it.
drop the subscription service afterwards. So it's worth the 1 month of subscription.
What's in the chat?
Yes. Young Justice is also on DC Universe. That's what Louis is saying. So if you got DC Universe, the new versions of Young Justice, which is a cartoon that is fantastic, are also on DC Universe. So if you're signing up for DC Universe, watch Young Justice and watch Doom Patrol.
Okay.
And Louis, watch Doom Patrol because it is really good. Keith, that runs the Hag Festival, he said he watched it. He loved it. Guys,
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. So, but like I said,
So kinda like the
super
Legion of
mature. Okay, lots of language. Warning
Okay.
up front. Not for kids. Not at all for kids. Okay, so.
Okay.
But highly entertaining.
Okay.
So there we go. Okay, are we done?
Anything else in the chat room?
No, I think
Got
we've...
quiet, didn't it?
Yeah, I think
we just
we're...
been blabbing.
Exactly, we've just been blabbing. So I think everybody is left at this point. There
Oh.
may be somebody around.
We got to go too. Time
Yeah, we do have to go.
start
I
the
think
4th of July.
Yeah, you got some stuff too that we need to take care of, and I need to clean up the rest of this game room. But anyway, guys, thanks for staying with us through the after show. Hopefully, we gave you some good things to watch. What did I say? Big Texas Fix, Doom Patrol. Watch those two. Tim, you got anything?
Nope.
No.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks for
Everybody,
joining us
good night.
tonight. Louis, thanks for being the moderator tonight and handling all the duties over there. And we'll see you. Hang on, I always have to look this up. August, right? August 1st, really? August 1st. We'll see you August 1st for the next live show. And that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks away, just like normal. So we'll see you guys on August 1st for the first Thursday of the month. Tim, unless you got something to do, you good?
Nope.
Okay, we're good.
Well,
August 1st.
it may be the next week because I may be still in Germany.
Oh, when you come back?
I have to look at my schedule.
Okay, check it real quick.
Wednesday to Wednesday.
Wednesday
We
to
would be
Wednesday.
cutting it
Oh,
close.
you're gonna be saying that seriously. You're gonna be here, like you'll just have come back. You may be
Yeah.
jet lagged still.
We might have to do it the next week.
Okay. Well, you can let me know. We may move it, or we could do it to the Friday or something.
Okay.
I can give you more time. But anyway, we'll figure it out. So, guys, thanks for joining us tonight for the live show. And remember, guys, when you're here at Arcade Repair Tips, fix the game, play the game, and we'll see you in August for a live show. Take care, everybody, and good night.
Goodbye.